He was on strike going into its fifth hour now, and we'll, of course, continue to monitor that. And a mild sell-off. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, Susan, thank you. Make sure you stay tuned to CNN for details on that developing story in Ohio.
Situation Room and Wolf Blitz are up now.
Thanks, guys, very much. Happening now. Rudy Giuliani and Mitt Romney's new smackdown. This time, the Republican presidential rivals are fighting over a so-called lawyer's test for national security. Plus, Jimmy Carter insists President Bush got it all wrong. He says the current administration has used torture, and he knows it this hour. My in-depth interview with the 39th President of the United States. And he may be just days away from winning a Nobel Peace Prize. But some of Al Gore's fans still want him to win the White House. Will a new draft Al Gore campaign get anywhere? I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. We're also watching that breaking news from Ohio. A teen gunman fired on students and teachers at a Cleveland high school. At least 4 people are wounded. The 14-year-old shooter is dead. We're waiting for a live press conference from the Cleveland mayor. We'll go there as soon as it starts. More on this story coming up right here in the Situation Room. But right now, a powerful, very powerful charge from the former president of the United States, Jimmy Carter, directly contradicting the current president of the United States. Carter says the Bush administration is torturing terror detainees despite repeated denials by the White House, including the president himself. Listen to this clip from my interview today with Jimmy Carter. President Bush said as recently as this week, the United States does not torture detainees.
That's not an accurate statement if you use the international norms of torture as has always been honored, certainly in the last 60 years since the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was promulgated. But you can make your own definition of human rights and say we don't violate them, and you can make your own definition of torture and say we don't violate them.
But from your definition, you believe the United States under this administration has used torture.
I don't think it. I know it, certainly.
So is the president lying?
The president is self-defining what we have done and authorized in the torture of prisoners, yes.
The Bush White House is calling Jimmy Carter's comments, and I'm quoting now, sad. Much more of this interview. It's a powerful interview. That's coming up this hour, including Jimmy Carter's claim that the Bush administration and Republican presidential candidates in particular, he says, they are appealing to what he calls ultra-right-wing warmongers. In the presidential campaign, the nasty sound bites and emails are flying as Rudy Giuliani and Mitt Romney are trying to make the Republican race a two-man contest. Their latest sparring match stems from Romney's answer to a question on whether he'd get congressional authorization for military action against Iran's nuclear facilities. Listen to this.
You sit down with your attorneys and tell you what you have to do, but obviously the President of the United States has to do what's in the best interest of the United States to protect us against a potential threat.
Today, the Giuliani campaign is having a field day with Romney's comment, calling it a lawyer's test for national security. Romney fired back, accusing Giuliani of being lawsuit crazy when he was the New York mayor.
The lawyering in history here has to come from the mayor. He gets first place when it comes to suing and lawyering.
Let's go right to our chief national correspondent, John King. He's covering Romney in Michigan today. All right, John, a tough question. What's going on?
Well, Wolf, this reflects the state of the Republican race. Most by all accounts, Giuliani is leading the national polls. Romney is leading in Iowa and New Hampshire, and they are fighting each other for preeminence in the race right now with fewer than 3 months until the Iowa caucuses, and they're fighting for the fiscal conservative base of the Republican Party. Giuliani has shown surprising strength among social conservatives, remarkable strength among fiscal conservatives, and Romney is trying to chip into that by saying when this guy was the mayor of New York City, he sued to block a welfare law. He sued to challenge the line item veto. He is not a solid Republican conservative. But the Romney camp concedes privately that he led with his chin a bit in that answer. Wolf, any president, of course, consults with his attorneys before going to war, before taking any dramatic steps. But had Romney flipped that sentence, saying you do what is in the best interest of the United States, and either left out the lawyer part or said in consultation with your lawyers, he would not be in this dust-up this morning. The Giuliani campaign sees an opening, and it is hitting him hard. It not only reflects the state of the polls, it reflects an increasingly testy and getting nasty Republican race, Wolf.
And Fred Thompson, he made his debate debut last night. On this, the day after, what's the reaction?
Well, Wolf, the fact that we're talking about Romney and Giuliani gives you the basic of all the reviews on the morning after. That Fred Thompson turned in a solid performance, no major gaffes, but he didn't steal the show. Score Fred Thompson's debate debut as solid, but hardly scintillating.
The stock market seems to be doing pretty well. I see no reason to believe we're headed for an economic downturn.
Top aides concede the former Tennessee senator was a bit rusty out of the blocks, but their post-debate line was, he did what he came to do.
I thought he rose above the other candidates tonight and certainly showed that he's a very strong leader, very presidential in his performance.
The newcomer was at center stage and got the first word, but was a spectator to the sharpest exchanges between national poll leader Rudy Giuliani and the candidate running first in Iowa and New Hampshire, former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney.
I brought taxes down by 17%. Under him, taxes went up 11% per capita. I led, he lagged.
Sir, rebuttal here, final
it's
rebuttal.
It's a nice line, but it's baloney. Mayor, you got to check your facts. No taxes. I did not increase taxes in Massachusetts. I lowered taxes.
Dearborn, Michigan was the venue, and pocketbook issues dominated.
Fact is that Social Security's gone broke.
On that front, Thompson was most specific, taking the risk of putting benefit cuts on the table.
Index benefits to inflation for future retirees. It would not affect current or near retirement people.
This tip of the cap to President Bush was part of his goal to come across as a low taxes, pro-growth conservative.
We are enjoying a period of growth right now, and we should acknowledge what got us there and continue those same policies on into the future.
Thompson's target audience was the Republican base nationally. His upbeat assessment, a much tougher sell here in Michigan.
You know, we have the highest unemployment in the country. We're the home of the domestic auto industry. For all practical purposes, we're in a single state recession.
And some grading Thompson on style points said Ronald Reagan's trademark smile was hard to come by.
You see, he looked presidential, but he looked very depressed presidential. He wasn't very optimistic. His facial expression was very negative. And sometimes it didn't seem like he was there.
Another Thompson goal coming in was to portray himself as the strongest candidate against Hillary Clinton. But while Romney and Giuliani repeatedly took aim at the Democratic frontrunner, Thompson never mentioned her. Wolf?
All right, John, thanks very much. John King reporting for us from Michigan. Let's get some more now on Hillary Clinton as a favored punching bag of the Republican presidential contenders. Our senior political analyst, Bill Schneider, is standing by. Bill, who was a bigger target in yesterday's debate? Would it be Fred Thompson or Hillary Clinton?
Well, Wolf, most of the focus was on the Democrat who wasn't even there.
Multiple choice test. When the Republican candidates debated economics this week, whose name came up most often? Was it A, Ronald Reagan, or B, Alan Greenspan, or C, Hillary Clinton? And the answer is C, Hillary Clinton. The Democratic senator's name was mentioned 12 times during the debate. Reagan's only 3 times. Greenspan's not at all. The references to Hillary Clinton were all negative. They talked about Hillary the big spender.
She's going to give $5,000 to every child born in America with her picture on it.
Hillary Clinton plan costs $110 billion.
They talked about Hillary's big government health care plan.
Hillary Care is government gets in and tells people what to do.
If we do Hillary Care or socialized medicine, Canadians will have no place to go to get their health care.
Why the obsession with Senator Clinton? She's the Democratic frontrunner, of course, but she also has a unique ability to rally Republicans. 80% of Republicans have an unfavorable opinion of Hillary Clinton. Only about half of Republicans don't like the 2 other leading Democratic contenders, Barack Obama and John Edwards. Moreover, Senator Clinton looks like a formidable opponent. In polls taken over the past month, Clinton beats every leading Republican candidate. It's not just that Republicans don't like her, they see her as a huge threat. So there's a competition going on among the Republican candidates.
I can't wait to debate with her because I've done it. She's just talked about it.
I challenged her on it. I challenged her. She has backed off that.
The message to Republican voters is, I'm the one who can beat her. Bring her on.
So what are Democrats thinking? If Senator Clinton threatens Republicans so much, she must be one formidable candidate. And that may help her build up her standing as the Democratic frontrunner. Wolf?
Bill Schneider reporting for us. Bill, thanks very much. Let's go to Cleveland right now. The mayor, Frank Jackson, is speaking on this horrific shooting incident at a Cleveland high school in which a 14-year-old shot 4 individuals. They're all wounded. before police killed the shooter. Let's listen into the mayor.
She will be treated and released. The shooter, the suspect, is a 14-year-old student from the school. He has committed suicide, is our understanding. We have the families of all of the victims have been notified, and we are currently connecting all the children and parents with people who can help them through this. Our rec centers will be open tomorrow. I think it's JFK, Cadell, and they will open around 8 o'clock in the morning. Dr. Sanders, I think it's Michael Zone and Cadell on the west side, and we have JFK and Glenville on the east side. They will be open at 8 o'clock in the morning for any child who wants to come in with their parents to have discussion with counselors around this incident. I will have Dr. Sanders indicate to you what is going to happen to the schools and what he will be doing starting this evening and going into tomorrow.
Thank you, Mayor. Today at Success Tech, as the mayor indicated, we are pleased that our students are doing okay. And here are the steps that we're going to take beginning this evening at 5 o'clock p.m. And
all right, we're going to continue to monitor this news conference out of Cleveland. A teenage gunman fired on students and teachers. 4 individuals were wounded, 2 adults, 2 students. As you heard the mayor say, the shooter is dead right now. We'll continue to monitor this story and bring you information as it comes into the Situation Room from Cleveland. Let's go to Jack Cafferty right now for the Cafferty File in New York. Hi, Jack.
Wolf, here's a great quote. We're not going to buy ourselves a turkey here. We're going to make sure we get what we paid for. That was State Department spokesman Sean McCormick talking about the massive new U.S. embassy in Baghdad. Sean, so far it's a turkey. The opening has been delayed now indefinitely, while a Kuwaiti contractor fixes a whole plethora of problems. Problems that have occurred in spite of the $144 million in cost overruns. The almost $750 million Vatican-sized complex was supposed to open last month. Now the State Department says they don't know when it'll open. Congress initially approved $600 million to build the biggest U.S. embassy anywhere in the world. But it's cost far more than that, and it's still not inhabitable. Congressman Henry Waxman sent a letter to Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice asking her to explain the delay and accusing her department of incompetence and inadequate oversight. Waxman says documents show hundreds of violations of regulations, including the fire codes and numerous electrical problems. $750 million, that's your money. The State Department says the increase in the price tag is not a cost overrun, but rather a change in the contract once they realized more office and living spaces would be required. Here's the question. What has the almost $750 million U.S. embassy in Baghdad, whose opening has now been delayed indefinitely, come to represent? Email CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile. Wolf.
This is not only going to be the largest U.S. embassy ever, but I'm told it's going to be the largest embassy by any country ever put together, any place in the world.
But we don't do nation building.
No, that's not right. Okay, Jack, thanks very much. Jack Cafferty will be back. Former President Jimmy Carter isn't holding back in his criticism of President Bush. Do any of the current candidates for Mr. Bush's job scare Jimmy Carter? His answer coming up. Our candid, in-depth interview with the former president. Also coming up, a new political battle over wiretaps in the war on terror. A Democrat is accusing the president of trying to scare the nation. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
Honey, are you going to keep that thing above your head the whole vacation?
Yeah, I'm proud of it. I booked our package on Orbitz. I got this great hotel. Saved a ton.
Well, you're embarrassing me. When I get back from aerobics, I'd like it gone.
Get a great hotel and save when you customize your vacation package on Orbitz. Book now and stay a step ahead.
They say a man should always dress for the job he wants. So why am I dressed up like a pirate in this restaurant? It's all because some hacker stole my identity. Now I'm in here every evening serving chowder and iced tea. Should have gone to freecreditreport.com. I could have seen this coming at me like an atom bomb. They monitor your credit and send you email alerts, so you don't end up selling fish to tourists in t-shirts.
Offer applies with enrollment and Triple Advantage.
Where will you live after a house fire? One call to Farmers Help Point could fix that. Farmers Help Point. Sanity makes a comeback.
Who better to dish up secrets on the vice president than his own wife? Glenn sits down with Lynn Cheney. Glenn Beck, Headline News, tonight, 7 and 9 Eastern.
You shot your wife in the head.
I didn't kill her. You think we came all the way out here to bust you for possession, you dumb punk? Roll out bomb squad.
Back-to-back episodes of CSI, weeknights starting at 7, only on Spike.
Have a hunger for new tastes? Then get down to Old Chicago today and try a Philly steak stromboli, steak and mushroom sandwich, or the savory pasta duo. These tastes end soon, so try one today at Old Chicago. Eat, drink, be yourself.
As we all know, the internet is like water. Sometimes it is safe, and sometimes it is not. But you can help protect yourself online. As a Comcast high-speed internet customer, you get a comprehensive security package from McAfee. Download it for free at comcast.net/security. It will help keep your computer out of harm's way. The power of Comcast is yours.
Howard K. Stern's first live interview since Anna Nicole's death. Larry King tonight.
President Bush is sending a stern message to Democrats today that he won't sign a new government surveillance bill unless it has what it takes to protect Americans. Democrats are proposing a new version of the government's eavesdropping program that includes additional oversight. Let's go to our congressional correspondent, Jessica Yellen. She's watching the story for us. The battle lines are clearly forming, Jessica, on Capitol Hill.
They are, Wolf. Republicans are closing ranks with President Bush, even as one Democrat accuses Mr. Bush of playing the fear card. President Bush is warning House Democrats not to send him a wiretap bill he says will damage America's intelligence gathering tools.
My administration has serious concerns about some of its provisions, and I am hopeful that the deficiencies in the bill can be fixed.
And his allies in the House agree.
The Democrats are taking a big step backward and are putting the handcuffs back on our intelligence officials.
I think this is one of the worst pieces of legislation that I've ever had the misfortune to see.
They insist the bill would slow down intelligence gathering by getting a court involved. They want to give immunity to telecommunications firms that cooperated in past surveillance and guarantee that NSA wiretapping can continue permanently. They say without these measures, the bill will not get Republican support.
I think you're going to see a solid vote against this FISA bill.
But House Democrats maintain the current law gives the intelligence community too much unchecked power, and they say they can pass their bill without Republican support.
The bill before us gives the administration everything it says it needs in terms of the actual tools to collect intelligence.
But this fight is a political balancing act for Democrats.
The Democratic base, the liberal wing of the party, wants to stress constitutional issues and individual rights issues, but many Democrats on Capitol Hill want to protect themselves on the issue of the war against terror. So this is an issue that they're kind of forced to take on, but that is uncomfortable for them.
It's uncomfortable for them, he says. So why are Democrats taking this issue on now? Well, when they passed the current law, they vowed to fix it. They said they didn't like the bill that they passed, and they say if they don't try to fix it, they'd be accused of reneging on one of their promises. So it's an uncomfortable fight they feel they must have.
Wolf.
Jessica yelling on the Hill for us. Thanks, Jessica, very much. The First Lady, Laura Bush, usually stays away from controversy, which makes her op-ed column in today's Wall Street Journal especially eye-opening. She puts a military government on notice that her husband is watching and warns that things need to change. Let's go to our White House correspondent, Suzanne Malveaux. She has the behind-the-scenes story. Suzanne?
Well, Wolf, in covering the First Lady, traveling with the First Lady, she has really changed her profile here. It started off focusing on her background as a librarian, education, and then she's expanded her portfolio, fighting AIDS in Africa, as well as asserting women's rights in Afghanistan. Well, today she weighed in against a military dictatorship in a whole nother part of the world. Mr. President, what do you think of your wife's editorial today?
The president gave a thumbs up for his wife for taking on the military government of Myanmar, also known as Burma. In a scathing editorial in the Wall Street Journal, First Lady Laura Bush warns the military dictatorship President Bush is prepared to slap on more sanctions if they do not move towards democracy within the next couple of days. She specifically calls on the generals to step aside to make way for a unified Burma, governed by legitimate leaders. It's a rare foray into foreign policy, but one she has increasingly embraced.
I think we can keep the attention on it. I hosted a roundtable on Burma last year during the United Nations General Assembly in New York.
Since then, she's fired off numerous statements, provided written testimony before the Senate, and just yesterday got on the phone with UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to discuss whether there was any progress. Mrs. Bush says it's personal. A cousin involved in the issue first told her about it years ago. But aides say now she's become much more outspoken because it has turned into a crisis.
You know, she never intended to be an activist on the world front. She's worried for the Burmese people, very worried for them.
With the president's low standing on the world stage, largely due to Iraq, perhaps the First Lady is the better messenger. But aides say Mrs. Bush is not concerned that she is upstaging her husband.
She is a good spokesman and she's a good advocate, and the president would be the first person to tell you that.
And Wolf, the First Lady will continue to travel. She'll continue to take on those tough issues. We are told the White House, the First Lady's office, also saying that she's not the most traveled First Lady. However, as this traditional role changes, that was Pat Nixon, covering about 80 countries in her tenure. Wolf?
Thanks very much, Suzanne Malveaux. Suzanne reporting from the White House. Former President Jimmy Carter stepped into a situation room, the Situation Room, just a little while ago. Listen to this. It's already getting a reaction over at the White House. Listen.
They all seem to be outdoing each other in who wants to go to war first with Iran, who wants to keep Guantanamo open longer and expand its capacity, things of that kind. They're competing with each other to appeal to the ultra-right-wing, warmongering element in our country.
The former president's answer and the White House reaction, a lot coming up right here in the Situation Room. Plus, the day after buzz about Fred Thompson's debate debut. We'll tell you what's going on that front. Much more coming up right here in the Situation Room.
So long, ooziness.
Thought I was gonna cry.
Denture paste can feel oozy. Yuck. But C-Bond adhesive wafers hold clean.
Bye-bye paste. Bye-bye yuckiness. Hello happiness. Give C-Bond a try. Come on, give C-Bond a try.
Bye-bye ooze. Hello, C-Bond.
This is how we treat our soldiers.
In my opinion, like a piece of dirt.
It's been over 7 months since the Walter Reed scandal put veterans' issues on the front page.
My life was ripped apart.
Now the veterans' budget is late, and America's heroes are still waiting for the care they deserve. Tell Congress and the White House to approve the veterans' budget now.
They're good enough to go and sacrifice their life, and we give them nothing.
It's time to fight for our veterans. Demand action at iavaaction.org.
Plug in, the first ultra-adaptable room from Marriott.
Critics are raving about Michael Clayton.
But Arthur was onto something.
A gripping thriller.
I'm an accomplice!
Smart and suspenseful. Heart-pumping.
I look like I'm negotiating.
Michael Clayton, rated R, now playing in select cities, October 12th everywhere.
I remember making snowboards by hand in my own garage.
We couldn't afford the proper equipment, so there I was, applying polyurethane with a scuba mask on. Eventually, we started making some pretty good boards, but it still didn't catch on. People just didn't get it. Maybe it wasn't what we were saying, but how we were saying it. Then we found a way.
HP helps great companies like Burton build their brands. Get the tools to build yours online at hp.com/Burton.
Well, gold is more than just a color for Century 21. It's a standard. What I do, it's about service. So much of my job is about things you don't see, the research and negotiations, so that you don't walk into a home that you're not interested in. Because time is gold. So that when that sold sign goes up, you struck gold.
Century 21. The gold standard.
Happening now in Iraq, an area that had been largely quiet is in danger of exploding into violence. It involves Iraq's Kurdish-controlled northern region and attacks that could spark an international controversy between the U.S. and one of its key NATO allies, Turkey. Dangerous convicted criminals could be targeting police officials from prison cells. Officials say a well-known prison gang could be trying to get law officers' names and addresses. And it hasn't happened in more than 20 years, a strike against Chrysler. We'll tell you why talks broke down between union members and the car maker. And if you could get caught in the middle, we'll also give you the latest information on that. Stay with us. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. A former president of the United States unleashed. Right now, Jimmy Carter has some stinging words for Republican presidential candidates on the war in Iraq, even some stinging words for some of his fellow Democrats. In a one-on-one interview, Jimmy Carter talks with me about Republicans courting what he calls the ultra-right wing and says he knows, quote, certainly that the Bush administration is not being honest about one very controversial issue. Joining us now, the former president of the United States, Jimmy Carter. His new book is entitled Beyond the White House, Waging Peace, Fighting Disease, Building Hope. Mr. President, welcome back.
Thank you, Wolf.
Let's get to the book shortly. Let's talk about some of the issues on the agenda. Right now, Republican presidential candidates, including Giuliani, making the suggestion that if Democrats are elected to the White House, U.S. national security will suffer. Here's what Giuliani says.
If one of them gets elected, it sounds to me like we're going on defense. We're going to cut back, and we'll be back in our pre-September 11 mentality of being on defense.
What do you want to say to Rudy Giuliani?
Well, I thought on pre-September 11th that George W. Bush was in the White House and the Republicans were in charge. I think during the Clinton years, we kept our country safe. We protected our interests around the world. We were admired by almost everyone on earth, and we were free, and we were also out of a war. So I think that history has shown that the Democrats are just as firm and staunch on security as are the Republicans. It ought to be a nonpartisan issue, and it's a ridiculous thing for Giuliani to be making a claim of that kind.
Do any of these candidates, presidential candidates, scare you?
Not on the Democratic side, no.
What about the Republican side?
Well, they all seem to be outdoing each other, and who wants to go to war first with Iran, who wants to keep Guantanamo open longer and expand its capacity, things of that kind. They're competing with each other to appeal to the ultra-right-wing, warmongering element in our country, which I think is a minority of the total population.
Who scares you the most?
I wouldn't want to judge between them, because if I condemn one of them, it might escalate him to the top position in the Republican ranks.
But basically what I hear you saying is, from your perspective on the issue of national security, there's really not much of a difference between the Republican frontrunners.
That's exactly right. I think the Democrats basically want to see the Lee Hamilton and the James Baker recommendation, one of the finest blue ribbon commission ever established in this country, unanimously recommended what we should do about Iraq. Yeah, and the Democrats are basically for that. The Republicans threw it in the wastebasket and said, we don't want that. We want to be much more militant, stay in Iraq indefinitely, and maybe invade or attack Iran. And I think that's a startling difference between the two.
Let's talk a little bit about Iraq, which still seems to be the #1 issue facing the American voters right now. I want to play a clip of what two of the Democratic frontrunners, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, said at their recent debate in terms of keeping U.S. forces in Iraq over these years if they were elected. Listen to this.
Okay.
I believe that we should have all our troops out by 2013.
but I don't want to make promises.
It is my goal to have all troops out by the end of my first term. But I agree with Barack. It is very difficult to know what we're going to be inheriting.
All right, so what do you think? Because a lot of people are surprised that neither one could commit to getting all U.S. troops out of Iraq by the end of their first term, if in fact they're elected president.
Well, I agree with the premise that you can't predict what's going to happen, but I disagree with their basic supposition that we'll still be there. I think the American people and the Blue Ribbon Commission, to which I just referred, all prefer that we get out. But if we should see an unforeseen development in the future where the Iraqi people, completely in control of their own affairs, request the American troops to stay in isolated areas for a period of time, I think that would possibly be acceptable, but that's not my first preference.
So on this issue, you disagree with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama?
Absolutely. We ought to get out earlier than 2013.
How quickly do you think the U.S. realistically could withdraw all 168,000 troops from Iraq?
Oh, I think over an 18-month period we could be totally out if that's our desire, but I never have seen anybody in this current administration or the Republican candidates advocate that we ever get out of Iraq. I think they want to stay there permanently.
On the scale of, historic precedents and historic blunders, from your perspective, what kind of blunder was the invasion of Iraq to get rid of Saddam Hussein? Among the preeminent blunders of American history, it was predicated on false claims, deliberate or not, I don't know. It was incorrectly consummated and perpetuated. The claims of how easy it would be were wrong, and I think just about everyone agrees that the whole war in Iraq has been carried out with a series of blunders. Some suggest it's the worst foreign policy blunder in American history. Are you among those? I would put it almost on an equal basis with Vietnam. Yes, those two in my lifetime certainly would be the worst two blunders. In the book, the new book, Beyond the White House, you write this on page 252. We had assumed in earlier years that our commitments and activities in support of human rights were in harmony with those of our government, and we were able to cooperate with officials in Washington. That is no longer a dependable premise. That sounds like a swipe at President Bush. Well, in a way, I think the entire global human rights community, with its multiple facets, including those deep inside Pakistan and Israel, B'Tselem and al-Haq, all would agree with the fact that our country, for the first time in my lifetime, has abandoned the basic principles of human rights. We've said that the Geneva Convention does not apply to those people in Abu Ghraib prison and Guantanamo, and we've said that we can torture prisoners, deprive them of an accusation of the crimes to which they are accused. President Bush said as recently as this week, the United States does not torture detainees. That's not an accurate statement if you use the international norms of torture as has always been honored, certainly in the last 60 years since the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was promulgated. But you can make your own definition of human rights and say we don't violate them, and you can make your own definition of torture and say we don't violate them. But from your definition, you believe the United States under this administration has used torture. I don't think it. I know it, certainly. So is the president lying? The president is self-defining what we have done and authorized in the torture of prisoners, yes. Well, that raises a really important question. Yes. Those who are engaged in torture, who commit torture, yes, potentially that could be a violation of international law or other laws. I think so. Has there been a violation of the law from your perspective? If you use the international treaties to which we are committed, like the Geneva Conventions? Like the Geneva Conventions, and also... Because earlier they said the Geneva Conventions don't apply to these detainees who were not wearing uniforms, they were not part of any formal army, they were picked up on the battlefield and brought to Guantanamo Bay. My impression is that the United States Supreme Court has said that's a false premise, and I presume that the administration complies with the rulings of the Supreme Court. And the international community obviously still adheres to and professes to commit themselves to the honoring of the Geneva Convention and also the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which the United States helped draft and promoted and has endorsed up until 6.5 years ago unanimously among all the presidents. So should someone be held accountable? Well, I think the best way to hold people accountable in this country is through the election process. So that's the best way to get, in other words, from your perspective, to get rid of the incumbent administration and move on.
Well,
but you don't want to see any formal charges or a trial?
No, I don't think so. I think that would be inappropriate. That has been done in some cases, as you know, but I don't think it's appropriate at all.
In response to our interview, a senior White House official who did not want to go on the record simply said this, saying, our position is clear. We don't torture. It's just sad to hear a former president speak like that. We've also asked for a reaction from Rudy Giuliani. When we get that, we'll bring it to you right here in the Situation Room. Also, we have a lot more from this interview with Jimmy Carter coming up in the next hour. You've only heard part of the interview. You're also going to hear what he has to say about the possibility of war with Iran and what he has to say about the Vice President, Dick Cheney.
Well, almost without knowing the subject, if somebody asked me, do you agree with Condoleezza Rice or the Vice President, I would just say automatically, I agree with Condoleezza Rice.
Tough words from Jimmy Carter, including more on what he thinks about Hillary Clinton's vote on the war and possibly the situation with Iran. All that, a lot more coming up with Jimmy Carter right here in the Situation Room in the next hour. There's also a lot of talk going on right now about Al Gore. Could he be on the short list for the upcoming Nobel Peace Prize? It's going to be announced on Friday. That might put him on the short list for the White House as well. Will he change his mind? Our Tom Foreman is taking a closer look at the growing pressure on the former vice president. Also, a Mike Huckabee joke misfires badly, very badly. We're going to take a closer look at how much it could hurt him. Stay with us. You're in the Situation.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Marco, the internet, it's hiding. Hello, found you. It's so easy, really. The AT&T Laptop Connect card wins again. Important meeting in 5 minutes. Blam! Internet found. Webinar up and running. Mobile broadband functioning. In a pond. Yes. Next question.
The internet can't hide anymore. And now get the AT&T Laptop Connect card for free and work in more places worldwide than anyone else. Singular's name is now AT&T.
Hey, I'm Don Shula, and I lost 32 pounds on Nutrisystem.
And I'm Marianne Shula, and I've lost 23 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Introducing Nutrisystem Silver, the weight loss program that lets older Americans eat great and lose weight.
Let's face it, the older you get, the harder it is to lose weight.
Not anymore, honey. It's easy with Nutrisystem.
Call or go online now to order 4 weeks of delicious meals. Through this special offer, your order will automatically be delivered once every 4 weeks. And you can get an extra 2 weeks of Nutrisystem Silver meals free.
I'm 77 years old, and I feel great.
It's so easy.
Our secret is the breakthrough science of the glycemic advantage that separates good carbs from bad. Every perfectly portioned Nutrisystem meal is delivered right to your door, and your shipping is free.
Trust me, you will lose weight.
See how Nutrisystem Silver can change your body and get a full 2 weeks of food and these vitamins free. Call now to find out how.
Every day, it seems, talk of oil, energy, the environment. Where are the answers? Right now, we're the largest producer of clean, renewable geothermal energy in the world, generating enough energy to power 7 million homes. Imagine that. An oil company as part of the solution. This is the power of human energy.
My name is Leonard Ross. I was born in 1906.
The Dust Bowl, the Depression, and 2 world wars. That's just a few of the things Rosie Ross has seen in his lifetime. Through it all, he's had 2 great loves, music and his own independence.
If it's Friday, I'm playing at the Pinecone Inn.
Long-term care insurance from Genworth Financial can help you live on your own terms in your own home, receiving covered benefits where and when you choose. Genworth Financial, insurance for living, solutions for life.
I want to update you now on that horrible shooting incident at a Cleveland high school. Shots were fired inside the high school. At least 2 adults, 3 teenagers are hurt. Just a short time ago, Cleveland's mayor said the teenage gunman is dead. Let's get the latest from Carol Costello. She's here in the Situation Room monitoring the story for us. What is the latest, Carol?
Well, Wolf, we're waiting to find out more about the shooter. We do know he was 14 years old. He had been suspended for fighting and had made threats to blow up the school or shoot up the school in the past. Today, he turned up during 10th period, brandishing 2 guns, 1 in each hand. Cleveland's mayor says he shot 5 people, 3 students, a teacher, and an adult all survived and are in the hospital. The shooter eventually shot and killed himself. Now, this all took place at Success Tech High School in downtown Cleveland. And it all sounded so agonizingly familiar. Parents taking calls from their terrified children who were hiding wherever they could.
She told me that they had heard 3 shots inside the school. Her class was secure. She had 4 teachers there. They were all sitting there waiting to find out what was going on, and they were okay. All the kids were upset. They were screaming and yelling because they didn't know what was going on, but they did hear the shots, and they didn't know what had happened. All they know is that someone was in the school with a gun.
Now, the school did issue a code blue over the loudspeaker system. Students knew what that meant. They dove under tables. Teachers locked classroom doors. This school, Wolf, is Success Tech. It is a great success story in the Cleveland educational system. It only admits the best and brightest students who want to study technology. Truly a sad day for the Cleveland public school system.
Carol, thanks very much. We'll stay on top of the story and update our viewers when more information comes into the Situation Room. Meanwhile, Al Gore is back in demand. A group of Democrats is urging the former vice president to jump into the race for the White House, and now they're stepping up their efforts. Tom Foreman is here in the Situation Room watching all of this. Will this group make Al Gore change his mind?
Boy, it sure doesn't look like it, but there are just some people who will not take no for an answer.
Al Gore has said it over.
I'm not planning to be a candidate again.
And over.
I don't really have plans to run for office again.
And over.
I have no plans to run. Thank you.
But DraftGore.com is not listening. The organization, which describes itself as a group of grassroots Democrats, took out a full-page ad in Wednesday's New York Times. Their open letter urges the 2000 Democratic presidential nominee to enter the race, saying, quote, "Your country needs you now, as do your party and the planet you are fighting so hard to save." The ad also says 136,000 people have signed Draft Gore's online petition. The group tells us signatures are coming in by the thousands. Gore's office, as the former vice president, truly appreciates the heartfelt sentiment behind the ad. However, he has no intention of running for president. Some Democrats are not giving up hope. 13% of them supported Gore for the Democratic nomination in our most recent poll. But even if Gore changes his mind, the clock is ticking.
Gore would certainly shake up the race if he changed his mind and decided to get in. But with less than 3 months before the Iowa caucuses, his window of opportunity to actually make a serious run for the Democratic nomination probably has passed him by.
The ad came out just 2 days before Gore finds out if he might be the winner of this year's Nobel Peace Prize. There's been a lot of speculation about that for his work on global warming, but the simple truth is he's been saying no, and he hasn't even been flirting about it, and people have to get that through their heads, Wolf. It's like when I asked Bobby Sue Graven to the prom. She didn't say maybe, she said no.
What about the second time? What about the second time you asked her?
I didn't do it a second time because it was done.
It was a done.
And they keep insisting they're going to get him to do it, but all indications are he's giving no hint that he will change his mind. The answer is no.
And I'm sure Bobby Sue still regrets that no that she gave you.
I'm not sure she ever regretted it for 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Meanwhile, a joke by a Republican presidential candidate about suicide is not going over very well. A suicide prevention group is outraged at what Mike Huckabee has said. Take a listen to this.
Good to see you, Jen.
If I were some of these guys who had spent tens of millions of dollars and weren't any further ahead, I'd have to be sitting in a warm tub of water with some razor blades in both hands at this point saying, how much money does one have to spend, to get on track?
Huckabee's point is that other candidates' level of support don't necessarily match their fundraising, but the National Hope Line Network, a suicide prevention group, put out a statement saying suicide is no joking matter. The group is calling Huckabee's joke a, quote, disgrace. So far, no response from Huckabee. John McCain has an ominous warning on Iran during the GOP debate. Paul Begala and Dick Armey, they're standing by for our strategy session. Plus, the Atlantic City mayor is in rehab and resigns. We'll tell you what's going on that front. Stay with us. You're in the Situation.
Introducing Renewin, the only intensive release supplement for joint care and energy. Renewin with glucosamine and chondroitin improves joint comfort, joint mobility, and boosts energy. Renewin in stores now.
Activon Ultra Strength Arthritis. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon. Safe and effective pain relief. Activon Ultra Strength Arthritis. In stores now.
Head on. Apply directly to the forehead.
Apply directly to the forehead.
Apply directly to the forehead.
Head on is available without a prescription.
It's your final days to find thousands of styles at Wix with huge savings store-wide. Save 20% on all formal and casual dining rooms, 15% on all bedrooms, and 10% off all living rooms, sofas, chairs, love seats, and more. Plus 10% on everything else in the store, including mattresses, with no payments till 2009. Get it all now. Your chance to get savings up to 20% ends Tuesday.
If I lost my job, I'd lose what little life insurance I have. My Garden State Life policy gives me the peace of mind I need and the security my family deserves.
Usually life insurance isn't something that people like to think about. But if you have loved ones, you should. When you get right down to it, life insurance is a promise. It's a promise to your family that they won't have to worry about how they're going to pay the bills if something happens to you.
As a single mom, I'm all my kids have. I've got to think about what might happen to them if something happened to me.
Now, I chose Garden State Life to help me keep my promise because I believe that they have the financial strength to keep theirs. They promise quality coverage, up to $50,000. They promise no medical exam. They promise the full amount of coverage from day one with no waiting periods. And benefits will never decrease.
Call for your free informational promise package, including a free quote. Call 800-985-4100. 800-985-4100.
Comcast Digital Voice is a technological breakthrough. Calls pass through our fiber optic center on their way to your home. Our digital network provides a capacity to offer the first real choice in home phone service with unlimited calling in the US and Canada, 12 popular calling features, including voicemail with email notification and call blocking. Connect to the future. Get Comcast Digital Voice for $33 a month for 12 months. Call 1-800-COMCAST today.
The minds of the DC Snipers. CNN Tonight, 8 Eastern.
Politicians from both parties are still buzzing over the Republicans' latest presidential debate. Paul Begala and Dick Armey, they're here in our strategy session. Dick Armey, let me start with you. What do you think last night on his debate? A debut, Fred Thompson, how did he do?
Well, my own view is, given the suspense that he let build up about his first trip on stage, he was let down. He should have understood it was incumbent upon him to come on that stage and command that stage, and he didn't do it.
Did he have a Ronald Reagan presence last night?
He did not, and I've thought a lot about this. I've interviewed a whole lot of President Reagan's former aides and tried to really analyze what was that magic. Well, at least tonight, last night, there were two things that Thompson lacked that Reagan had in abundance: optimism and energy. Yes, Reagan was an older than average candidate. He was full of energy, and he lit up a room, he lit up a stage, and he was always optimistic. We got very little of that from Fred Thompson. Now, that's an awful high bar, in fairness to Senator Thompson. He's a very talented guy, but he's no Ronald Reagan.
Because a lot of his supporters look back at an actor coming into the likable kind of guy, and they think he's the new Ronald Reagan. Now, Romney and Giuliani, they clashed over several important issues. What do you make of this fight? Because that seemed to be a much bigger story emerging from the debate than how Fred Thompson did.
Well, it looked to me like they both had chosen and decided, this is the guy I got to beat. But you know, if you look at all of the people, what was lacking in that debate was anybody on the stage that had more reason what he wanted to do with being president than he had reason why he wanted to be president.
Because they all loved to hammer away at Hillary Clinton and slap her.
Right, which is, as Bill Schneider says, very good for Hillary, because Hillary's probably probably the most moderate of the Democrats in the field. When the conservatives attack her in a Republican debate, it helps her with the left without her having to move to the left. So they're giving her a gift. They may not intend it for that, but it's nothing but good. I'm sure Hillary's strategists were very happy with the debate last night.
John McCain, I want to play a little clip, Dick Armey, of what he said on the possibility of going to war against Iran. Listen to this.
I would at minimum consult with the leaders of Congress, because there may become a time where you need the approval of Congress, and I believe that this is a possibility that is maybe closer to reality than we are discussing tonight.
Is that what the American people want to hear, that these Republican presidential candidates, McCain in particular, but the others are saying something along those lines as well? Get ready for another war, not with Iraq or Afghanistan, but Iran.
No, I don't think American people want to hear that. I didn't want to hear it. There are all kinds of options with respect to Iran that our nation is not carrying out well. One of the most obvious things is we are protecting a group of people in a camp in northern Iraq that are Iranian dissidents. While at the same time they're protected people under our protection, we keep them on a list of foreign terrorist organizations.
You're talking about the Mujahideen.
Yeah, and it's crazy. The fact of the matter is these folks are the people that can keep us best informed of what's going on in Iran, and which they already do, and they're the people that can best inform people within Iran of the opportunities for liberty, and we keep them tied down. So let's get smarter about our policy and how to use the resources that are naturally available to us.
Let's talk about Al Gore. You saw this full-page ad in the New York Times today, among other things. It said, "You say you have fallen out of love with politics, and you have every reason to feel that way, but we know you have not fallen out of love with your country. Please rise to this challenge and run, or you and millions of us will live forever wondering what might have been." Is it possible, you know the Republicans, that Al Gore could reconsider and still throw his hat into that presidential ring?
I heard Tom Foreman's piece, and I think he's got a good point. The vice president hasn't given any indication that he will. I think the ad was very flattering. It was well-deserved. He's a terrific leader, and most Democrats love and admire him. I bet you he's grateful they used his college yearbook photo, too. I mean, I don't know if we have it up, but he looks like $1 million in that picture. But no, the Democrats are very happy with their field, and so there's not much oxygen for a new entrant. Republicans had been unhappy with their field, and it made room for Fred Thompson or maybe even a Newt Gingrich who decided not to run. I think Democrats would have to be very unhappy with Hillary, Barack, Edwards, and the rest before Gore could get in.
What happens if on Friday he wins the Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, I think if he's as smart as I think he is about such things. See, I think Al Gore is as smart about politics as the average sophomore girl is about dating. And she's just been celebrated. He's just been celebrated. Why then take all the celebration that he's getting now, set it aside while he goes in the field, has Hillary pin his ears back, whip him, send him home a loser, and now where's his standing? He's smart enough, I think, to while the world's rejoicing in me and wants to pursue me, let him chase me. If he's smart, he'll never get caught.
I remember, he's still only 59 years old, so
and
he's
richly
still
deserving of that Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, we don't.
Let me lobby for our viewers in Oslo. Vote Gore for the Nobel.
And I have no problem with people dumbing down the Nobel. It should be recognized for as meaningless and shallow as it is, and giving it to Gore will do a great deal to help us
Army
get a
and
better
Paul
read on it.
Begala. Thanks to both of you for coming in. Coming up, how could a mayor of a major city simply go missing? That's what happened in Atlantic City. Now there's a surprising development about his whereabouts and his political future. And much of northern Iraq had been largely quiet, but it's now in danger of exploding into violence. It involves attacks that could spark an international controversy between the U.S. and a key NATO ally. Stay with us. You're in The Situation.
Closed captioning hours provided by Renewin, the only supplement for joint care and energy.
Introducing Renewin, the only intensive release supplement for joint care and energy. Renewin with glucosamine and chondroitin improves joint comfort, joint mobility, and boosts energy. Renewin in stores now.
Plug in the first ultra-adaptable room from Marriott. Who first believed in you? Listened to your dreams. Got you on your way. We all need a partner. And Citi has the people and expertise to make it all possible. So buy that house. Merge that company. Start that business. Send her to college. Build a fortune. Take your business global. Plan for the future.
partner. A partner that helps turn dreams into realities. Citi, let's get it done.
Your smile says a lot about you. That you're happy, friendly, confident. But if you're uncomfortable with your teeth, your smile could be saying just the opposite. Fortunately, there's Invisalign, the clear way to get a smile that shows off the real you. Invisalign is a series of custom design aligners that straighten your teeth little by little. Each clear aligner can be removed to eat or brush your teeth. Switch them every other week and gradually a new smile will emerge, often in about a year, without the pain and anxiety of metal braces. Millions of people have already learned about Invisalign. Maybe it's time you did too. Visit Invisalign.com to arrange a free, no-obligation consultation with an experienced Invisalign provider and let the world see the real you. Invisalign. Learn how to smile again.
2,000 bottles of wine in his cellar. And yet somehow he's never lost touch with his inner meatloaf. Today's wealth needs today's wealth management. U.S. Trust.
Coverage of America Votes 2008 is sponsored by U.S. Trust, Bank of America Private Wealth Management. Wealth management for today's wealth.
On our political ticker this Wednesday, the mystery surrounding the missing mayor of Atlantic City, New Jersey is solved. Robert Levy resigned today after a 2-week absence from office. His lawyer says Levy checked himself into a rehab clinic for over-medicating himself for severe back pain. He disappeared while he was under federal investigation for embellishing his Army service record in Vietnam. New polls show Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton leading Republican frontrunner Giuliani in three battleground states. The Quinnipiac University survey shows Clinton edging out Giuliani in Florida by 3 points. They were tied back in September. Clinton leads Giuliani by 6 percentage points in Ohio, and she's ahead of Giuliani by the same margin in Pennsylvania. Republican presidential candidate Sam Brownback is setting a relatively high bar for himself in Iowa. The Kansas senator confirms he'll drop out of the race for the White House if he doesn't finish in the top 4 in the leadoff caucus state. Brownback says that during an online discussion, with the Washington Post's website. Remember, for the latest political news at any time, you can always check out our political ticker at CNN.com/ticker. Check back with Jack Cafferty in New York for the Cafferty File. Jack.
The mayor of Atlantic City was being investigated for embellishing his service record?
Yeah, something about pretending that he was a special operations elite commando in Vietnam when he was.
That's the same as lying, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And he was over-medicating himself for back pain, so he had to go to rehab.
Right.
That means he's addicted to some kind of drugs. So he's a lying drug addict, but that's not what his lawyer said.
No.
His lawyer said something else.
But you can draw that conclusion, I suppose.
Well, that's what I was drawing. I was drawing a conclusion.
Let's put it this way: he's got a lot of problems.
Yeah. Here's the problem. What does the almost $750 million U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, whose opening has now been delayed indefinitely, come to represent? Eugene in California, $750 million U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. No plans for completion, just like the administration's Iraq war plan. It's a black hole where Bush and his cronies, a.k.a. the haves and the have-mores, will continue to kill America's heroes and rape taxpayers for years. Chuck in Ohio, $750 million. Just another miscalculation by the administration, nothing to be concerned about. Money can buy an Ivy League degree, but it can't make a person brilliant. Can anyone point to any great success other than welfare for the wealthy that has happened during this administration? We in the middle are sinking fast. Carolyn writes, the boondoggle of an embassy will stand as a permanent monument to George Bush's ineptitude and the failure of his policies in Iraq. It was started with inadequate knowledge, planning, carried out without oversight, apparently without a master plan for success, and in the end will stand empty as a hollow tribute to everything that went wrong over there. Mr. Bush cannot afford to fund health programs for poor kids, but he has no problem dumping money down a rat hole with projects such as this. Bob writes it's come to represent the most elaborate, expensive landing platform in the world for the eventual evacuation of U.S. troops and personnel. John in Texas, what do you suppose it represents? Government waste, corruption, theft, call it what you will. Bush has a lot of rich friends. And G writes, don't tell anybody, Jack. The embassy being built in Iraq is really going to be the Bush Library.
Somebody's got a good sense of humor, Jack. Thanks very much. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room happening now. There's the breaking news we're following involving a high school shooting with a gun in each hand. A teenager opens fire on students and teachers. There's new information coming into the Situation Room right now on what sparked the bloody rampage. The Bush administration warns Congress not to put a genocide label on a key U.S. ally. Fears that a furious Turkey could cripple the U.S. war effort in neighboring Iraq. And the former President Jimmy Carter, who once sent U.S. troops into Iran on a hostage rescue mission, is now warning against any new attack against Iran. And he's on the attack against Rudy Giuliani. Why is he calling the Republican presidential candidate, his word, foolish? My one-on-one interview with Jimmy Carter, that's coming up. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. But first, new details coming out right now about that high school shooting in Cleveland, Ohio. At least 4 people injured. The teenage gunman now reported dead, apparently taking his own life. Let's go straight to CNN's Carol Costello. She's following the story for us. What's the latest information, Carol, we're getting?
Yeah, Wolf, I have a little bit more about the shooter, information about the shooter. According to WOIO, our affiliate in Cleveland, he was a 14-year-old freshman. He was white. He was goth, so to speak. He was wearing a Marilyn Manson T-shirt, and he had his fingernails painted black. And as you said, Wolf, tonight he is dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
It's also agonizingly familiar. Frantic, frightened students calling their mothers and fathers, describing what should never happen anywhere.
All the kids were upset. They were screaming and yelling because they didn't know what was going on, but they did hear the shots, and they didn't know what had happened. All they know is that someone was in the school with a gun.
Witnesses say it was a 14-year-old boy with a gun in each hand. He opened fire in a hallway, hitting 5 people, 2 adults and 3 fellow students. That he was the shooter came as no surprise.
He said if he would shoot up the school, he'd let me and some other dude he knew go and all that, but I didn't think he actually meant that. I thought he was just kidding around.
And when did he say that to you?
Like a month ago.
Another student told local reporters the young shooter often came to school wearing a trench coat and an empty pistol holder around his leg. Today he was armed, and as the first shot rang out, a code blue, a warning came over the school loudspeaker system. Some students knew what to do, hiding under tables, locking classroom doors.
You know, schools are supposed to be safe places, and, you know, please, not that Cleveland's immune to anything going on in the nation, but Success Tech would have been the last place we would have thought of.
Success Tech is a small academy, a rigorous technology high school funded in part by the Bill Gates Foundation. Students have to apply to get in. Some parents say security has been an issue in the past because the school is overcrowded and there is no metal detector by the doors. Today, some say, that should change.
You know, I say it's overcrowded, but it's a pretty small school with only a couple of hundred students. The school is reviewing security. There will be no school tomorrow, but Wolf administrators will be back, and they'll try to see what they could have done better.
Carol Costello, thanks very much. She's watching the story. When we get more information, we'll share it with you. The Bush administration right now is in a tense standoff with Congress over a resolution that would pin the genocide label on Turkey for mass killings carried out during the First World War. The White House and military commanders are deeply worried about the impact on the current war in Iraq by what's happening in the House of Representatives right now. Let's go live to our senior Pentagon correspondent, Jamie McIntyre. He's watching this story. Why is the Pentagon in particular, Jamie, so concerned?
Well, it's coming at a really bad time. Turkey sent warplanes and attack helicopters into northern Iraq today to pound Kurdish rebel positions, a possible prelude to an incursion. The U.S. is urging restraint on Turkey, and at the same time, the Bush administration is accusing Congress of making things worse.
The House will be in order.
As if to underscore her defiance of the Bush administration, Speaker Nancy Pelosi gavelled the House to order with a prayer by an Armenian chaplain.
With the solemn burden of history, we remember the victims of the genocide of the Armenians.
That historical note has become a testy confrontation with the White House. At issue, a House resolution labeling the killings of hundreds of thousands of Armenians by Ottoman Turks during World War I genocide. President Bush used that word himself as a candidate back in 2000, but says now the timing couldn't be worse.
This resolution is not the right response to these historic mass killings. And its passage would do great harm to our relations with a key ally in NATO.
The Pentagon argues the resolution would anger Turkey and hamper the war effort in Iraq. 70% of air cargo, including armored MRAP vehicles, as well as 30% of fuel, fly by way of the Incirlik Air Base in Turkey.
Access to airfields and to the roads and so on in Turkey would be very much put at risk if this resolution passes and the Turks react as strongly as we believe they will.
Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Tom Lantos framed the debate as a sobering choice between condemning genocide and supporting U.S. troops.
We cannot provide genocide denial as one of the perks of friendship with the United States.
We're in the middle of two wars, and we've got troops out there, over there that are at risk. And we're talking about kicking the one ally that's helping us over there in the face right now. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
And as the Turkish parliament considers authorizing an incursion into northern Iraq, the U.S. fears that could simply open up a new front in what up to now had been one of the most stable regions in Iraq. Wolf?
Jamie McIntyre, thanks very much. We'll follow this story. I want to go back to Cleveland. One of the victims of that horrific school shooting earlier today is speaking out. Let's listen in.
I might have, but I don't know for sure. I got to see him to see if I really knew him, but I probably did know him, though.
Darnell, what are you feeling right now, Darnell?
I'm, like, shocked, sad, and scared, and, like, worried about my other classmates and the teachers.
Did you know any other victims?
Yeah, I did, but I don't really want to talk about them.
Darnell, your dad told us that you were walking down the hall and then you heard screaming. Can you describe to us the moment you knew something was wrong at school?
Well, like, as I was walking up the stairway, like a whole bunch of kids had came down the stairway and they were screaming and they were saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And I knew something was wrong, but I thought it was probably just a fight. So I just kept going or whatever.
Darnell, you're trying to, of course, come to terms with what happened here right now. I mean, just the shock of it all.
Yeah, it's very shocking, and I wouldn't think this would happen so close to home. Seeing that it happened at every other school, or they say it's going to happen at every other school, I never thought it would personally happen at my school.
Darnell, was there ever a time when you were at school that you felt unsafe at the school?
Success Tech is a very safe school. I went there all 4 years of my high school career. I'm a senior there. It's a very safe school and very family-friendly environment. I never felt unsafe.
Your dad said
you'd like to take you out of the Cleveland schools. You'd like to stay there?
I mean, I'm kind of unsure now, but I mean, it can happen anywhere. Whether you're in the suburbs or whether you're in urban schools, it can happen anywhere.
And your dad said that you called him from the ambulance. What did you tell your dad when you called him from the ambulance?
I mean, I just told him I got shot, and that's all I pretty much told him, and that I was going to be okay.
Darnell, what do you think feel like standing here just a few hours later? Are you feeling okay?
It's numb, that's all. And it's stinking and burning, that's all.
Darnell, are you mad too? I know there's got to be a range of emotions.
I mean, I'm sad and I want to know who the boy was, but other than that, I'm just sad and shocked and like worried about my other classmates and the teachers.
You're wondering if you ever feel safe again?
I mean, I know I'm gonna feel safe there again because I mean, it's a good school and my principal, she's probably gonna do whatever she can to like get us better security and make us feel safe, so I know I'm gonna feel safe again.
What about did he shoot right at you, or do you think the bullet deflected off of something?
I think the bullet probably like deflected off of something. Like he probably meant to hit somebody else, but it hit me.
You know the teachers who were shot?
Yeah, I do, but I really don't want to talk about that. That's not my place.
Have you talked to any of your other classmates after the shooting?
They were worried about me, but I really didn't talk too much to them about it.
When did you realize that you were actually shot?
It like took me like a couple of minutes to realize that I was actually shot when I like felt my arm burning or whatever. that's when I realized that I had got shot.
Did everyone come running to you? Tell me about that, the people that came to your help.
When I was like in the classroom, my teacher, they all helped me. And when I got outside, like a whole bunch of my friends and my girlfriend and my little sister was trying to find me and help me.
Kind of give you a different perspective on things, Darnell?
Yeah.
All right, Darnell Rogers, he was shot in the elbow. Fortunately, he's okay. He tells an emotional story of what happened at that Cleveland high school earlier today. A 14-year-old gunman shooting and injuring 4 individuals, 2 students, 2 teachers. We'll stay on top of this story for you. Two of the individuals shot, 2 adult men, 57 and 42 years old, and 2 teenage males, 17 and 14. The 14-year-old gunman apparently shot himself, that according to the mayor. Let's go to Jack Cafferty in New York with the Cafferty File. These are horrific stories. Every time you hear what's going on out there, Jack, it sends a shiver down your spine.
Yeah, it does. On the other hand, I don't know realistically what can be done about the occasional loose cannon or grenade that, somebody that just snaps out there and goes haywire. It seems to be something that's probably not preventable in an open society. Remember when President Bush said he couldn't think of any time he'd ever made a single mistake while he'd been president of the United States? He got a lot of grief over that, you recall? Well, now it's House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's turn. The Politico reports that Pelosi dodged a question about her own mistakes during a luncheon with reporters. When she was asked whether she thought she had made any mistakes during her first 9 months as Speaker, Pelosi answered that ending the war in Iraq was her biggest challenge. But, quote, I won't call it a mistake. Really? A lot of Americans who want the war over might disagree with her. When she was pressed more about whether she'd made any mistakes, Pelosi dodged again, said her decisions weren't only hers, but rather a consensus among House Democrats. In other words, she refused to admit ever having made a mistake herself. Considering the American people handed control of Congress to the Democrats in last year's midterm election, specifically to put a stop to the war in Iraq, and Nancy Pelosi is the top Democrat in the House of Representatives, well, maybe that would be a starting point for her. Here's the question. Nancy Pelosi won't list any mistakes that she's made so far as Speaker of the House. Can you think of any? Email us at CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile. Politicians are amazing. They never admit anything, do they, Wolf?
Rarely. Once in a while. Jack, thanks very much. Jimmy Carter taking sides in a Bush administration internal dispute.
Well, almost without knowing the subject, if somebody asked me, do you agree with Condoleezza Rice or the Vice President, I would just say automatically, I agree with Condoleezza Rice.
The former president makes it clear where he stands and why. My one-on-one interview with Jimmy Carter, that's coming up this hour also. A shocking report on troubled teens facing abuse and worse from people hired to help them. And look at this, a noose is found on the office door of a prominent African-American professor. Fear and outrage at a prestigious university campus. We'll tell you what's going on. Stay with us, you're in The Situation Room.
What will you do with your energy today? Will you simply expend it? Or will you use it to make a difference? Invest it in ways that will help generations to come. The people of Citgo have invested our energy in ways that may surprise you. For generations, we've been using our energy to do good in communities across the U.S. Citgo, there at every turn.
We didn't set out to be a getaway car or an art car. We didn't intend to be a part of any subculture or pop culture. We didn't set out to play games or to start a religion. We just made the car, the BMW 3 Series, another expression of independence from a company built on it.
I'm proud of what we're doing down here in Garyville, Louisiana. Marathon is using the cleanest, safest, and newest technologies to expand our refinery. It's a $3.2 billion investment so that by 2010, America will have another 7.5 million gallons of clean fuel every day. This is the fuel we need to get to work, to run our businesses, and to keep the country moving. I'm very proud to be a part of this expansion. Stepping up, that's Marathon.
George Bush just vetoed Abby and Josh. He vetoed LaToya and Kevin. Bush vetoed health insurance for millions of America's children whose parents work but can't afford coverage. George Bush and his backers would rather send $500 billion to Iraq than spend a fraction of that here to keep our kids healthy. Congress can override Bush's veto. So ask your representative, do they stand with him or with them?
Introducing Renewin, the only intensive release supplement for joint care and energy. Renewin with glucosamine and chondroitin improves joint comfort, joint mobility, and boosts energy. Renewin in stores now.
Activon Ultra Strength Arthritis. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon. Safe and effective pain relief. Activon Ultra Strength Arthritis. In stores now.
Head on. Apply directly to the forehead.
Apply directly to the forehead.
Apply directly to the forehead.
Head on is available without a prescription.
Anger and fear are gripping the campus of Columbia University after a shocking racially charged incident. A noose found hung on the office door of a well-known African-American professor. Our senior correspondent Alan Chernoff is live on the campus in New York, scene of a protest rally just a little while ago. This is a shocking story because we see these kinds of incidents now popping up all over the place. What happened at Columbia?
Wolf, they've happened all over the place, but to happen here, I have to say, the students and the faculty were absolutely stunned, and they rallied right here in front of the school to express their shock and anger over the act of racism that did occur at the school.
Not here, not anywhere. Students and faculty of Columbia University responding to a shocking act of racism at Columbia's Teachers College. A hangman's noose found on the office door of Professor Madonna Constantine Tuesday morning.
Hanging the noose on my door reeks of cowardice and fear on many, many levels. I would like the perpetrator to know I will not be silenced.
Constantine, a professor of psychology and education, is author of a book entitled Addressing Racism.
What we decided to do was to rally together as a community of not only people of color, but of all races, of all ethnicities, to show that this type of hate is intolerable.
Students and faculty say they were stunned to learn of the incident, which police are treating as a hate crime. Perhaps in Gina, Louisiana, some said, but at Columbia University? What did you feel in your heart?
Well, obviously, as an African-American young woman, anger was the first thing because I couldn't believe that in 2007, something like this could actually happen at such a diverse institution.
Security guards check for Columbia IDs at all entrances to the school, leading many to suspect the perpetrator may have been a member of the Columbia community. A frightening prospect for some of the school's African Americans.
I personally felt scared for my own security because I was nervous on what the next attack would be, if it would be an actual attack and not a noose.
The New York City Police Department says it has not yet identified any suspects nor made any arrests.
Police detectives are aware that Professor Constantine has had a pretty serious dispute with one of her colleagues, a professor in her own department. That woman, who is not white, did not return CNN's calls or emails. Wolf?
Alan Chernoff, thanks very much. The Columbia University incident, by the way, follows the recent discovery of nooses in at least nine U.S. cities. They include New London, Connecticut, where nooses were found at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, one in a black cadet's sea bag, another in the office of a civil rights instructor. On September 20th, 2 nooses were displayed in the back of a pickup truck in Alexandria, Louisiana. On the same day, thousands of people attended a rally in nearby Gina for a jailed African-American student. And the following week, a noose was discovered hanging in the locker room of a Long Island, New York police station. Troubled teenagers facing abuse, even death at the hands of the people paid to help them. That's the picture government investigators are painting of some of the so-called boot camps that promise desperate parents they can turn their kids around. Let's go to CNN's Mary Snow in New York. She's watching this story. What else are the investigators, Mary, saying about these boot camps?
Well, Wolf, one investigator on Capitol Hill today says to hear the details, you think you'd be learning about human rights abuses in a third world country. Now, the government's focus on these camps comes at the same time a separate case in Florida is getting a lot of attention. This shocking video is key evidence in the boot camp death of 14-year-old Martin Lee Anderson. 7 guards and a nurse are on trial for manslaughter for not getting medical help for the teen soon enough. They testified they thought he was feigning illness. While that Florida case has been getting a lot of public attention, the government has been investigating a number of other programs for troubled teens and says it's found thousands of cases of abuse, some resulting in death. A government investigator told a House panel kids endure disturbing practices.
Being forced to lie in urine or feces, being kicked, beaten, and thrown to the ground, and being forced to use a toothbrush to clean a toilet, and then forced to use that toothbrush on their teeth.
Some of these boot camps bill themselves as wilderness programs and prey on parents desperate to help their kids. Paul Lewis sent his 14-year-old son Ryan to a wilderness program on the advice of therapists. While there, Ryan killed himself. Lewis says he was first told there were no warning signs beforehand, but a police officer later revealed the truth.
He told us that the night before Ryan died, he had slashed his arm 4 times with a pocket knife issued to him by the program. He told them, "Take this away from me before I hurt myself anymore."
The problem is there is no central oversight of these programs. But one group that is most closely tied to these kinds of boot camps is on the defense.
They are not certified by our organization. We are not an accrediting agency. We're not a licensing agency.
What the hell do you do?
The National Association of Therapeutic Schools and Programs describes itself as a trade organization and is asking for regulations.
We are a young organization learning as we're going. We have made mistakes in the past. We recognize that.
Now, lawmakers are looking into the possibility of imposing federal regulations on these kinds of camps, trying to prevent questionable camps from closing down in one state only to open in another. Wolf?
Mary Snow watching the story. Mary, thanks very much. Coming up, my one-on-one interview with the former president, Jimmy Carter. You're going to want to hear what he has to say. Also, she says she contributed to it, but has now learned her lesson. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton talking about partisanship. Stay with us. You're in The Situation.
And we not only have a lot of work to do at home, we got
That's my brother Earl. He's been driving the same car for 20 years. What's worse, he's had the same car insurance for 20 years. I tell him, Earl, driving an old car is one thing, but having outdated insurance could be costing you a fortune.
Is that right?
Switch to the AARP insurance program from the Hartford. It's a program designed for people 50 plus.
If you're over 50, you might save $300 by switching to the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford.
Really?
And with a good driving record, your deductible can disappear over time. Plus, your first accident could be forgiven.
Earl, no penalty for your first accident. Does your plan do that?
I didn't know anybody did that.
Not yet a member? Call now. We'll even send you a free calculator. Call 1-800-207-7413. 1-800-207-7413.
Because y'all thought I was finished.
Their rampage terrified the nation. Soledad O'Brien. What drove them to murder? The minds of the DC snipers. CNN Tonight, 8 Eastern.
I was reading about Measure 50.
The tobacco tax? Sounds good.
Well, it's millions in new taxes to support a new and expanded healthcare bureaucracy.
I thought Oregon already had a state health plan.
Well, we do. And the bureaucrats can't even get 60,000 kids who are eligible enrolled in it. But now they want a new one.
Shouldn't we make the existing system work? Enroll all those kids before we raise taxes for a new program?
Fix the system we have before throwing money at a new one. No on 50.
Caitlin, be serious. Okay, I'm ready. I pledge that I will never meet in person with anyone I first met online without checking with my parent or guardian. And furthermore, if my parent or guardian agrees to the meeting, it will be in a public place and my parent or guardian must come along. Do you pinky swear? I do.
When you teach your kids about internet safety, they'll pass it on. For more information, go to pointsmartclicksafe.org.
Howard K. Stern's first live interview since Anna Nicole's death. Larry King Tonight.
update you on that story. We're following the House of Representatives, a resolution that would condemn Turkey for genocide against Armenians during World War I. Jamie McIntyre is at the Pentagon, where they're watching this very closely, given the ramifications of what's going on. So what just happened, Jamie?
Well, Wolf, despite that strong opposition from the White House and the Pentagon and some Republicans in Congress, the House Foreign Affairs Committee, in fact, passed that resolution labeling as genocide the mass killing of Armenians in Turkey 90 years ago. That flies in the face of what the president wanted. The vote was 27 to 21 in committee. It'll now go to the full House. And again, the Bush administration says if this passes, it's just going to be a slap in the face to Turkey at a time when the U.S. is trying to improve relations and exercise some influence on Turkey to prevent it from going across the border into northern Iraq.
Very serious potential fallout from this resolution going through the House. All right, thanks very much, Jamie McIntyre, reporting. It's passed the House Foreign Affairs Committee. It'll go to the House floor. We'll watch it. Meanwhile, a former president of the United States pulling no punches when it comes to a current candidate.
He's foolish. I hope that he doesn't become president.
What does Jimmy Carter have against Rudy Giuliani? My interview with Jimmy Carter, that's coming up. Also, we're going to go behind the scenes and take a closer look at the Bush administration and how it deals with the news media. Stay with us.
In August, Congress
You're in the situation.
A bill to modernize the...
Every day, it seems, talk of oil, energy, the environment. Where are the answers? Right now, we're the largest producer of clean, renewable geothermal energy in the world, generating enough energy to power 7 million homes. Imagine that. An oil company as part of the solution. This is the power of human energy.
This is Kathy. She recently lost her job.
And I had sent in a payment, and now I'm getting a disconnection notice.
Now that she's been diagnosed with breast cancer and can't afford insurance, she's wondering if the next thing she might lose is her life. Help is available.
It'll be all right.
Just not to 47 million Americans without insurance. Are we willing to accept that? The American Cancer Society is making progress against cancer through research, education, and support, but it's not enough. People aren't getting the care that could save their lives. Together, we can overcome this crisis. Find out what we're doing and how you can help at cancer.org. This is the American Cancer Society.
Guess what I found? The internet. Didn't even have to dig a hole, really. Did it to prove a point. The internet can't hide from the AT&T Laptop Connect card. Do business at mobile broadband speeds. In a hole, up a tree, or in a bush. Would you like tea with that download? Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
The internet can't hide anymore. And now get the AT&T Laptop Connect card for free and work in more places worldwide than anyone else. Singular's name is now AT&T.
Instant gratification has us in a stranglehold. So much so that we don't want to fix things anymore. Just replace them. Don't like your nose? Get a new one. Don't like your job? Get a new one. Don't like your spouse? Get a new one. Whatever happened to commitment? To standing by our decisions?
To our viewers, you're in the Situation Room happening now. The First Lady Laura Bush has a warning for the generals in charge of Myanmar, which used to be known as Burma, that their last shred of legitimacy has vanished. In a rare op-ed column in today's Wall Street Journal, the First Lady tells the military leadership the time for a free Burma is now. 32,000 members of the United Auto Workers Union are now on strike against Chrysler, but just a little while ago, the union announced that it has ratified a new agreement with General Motors. GM was the target of a two-day strike last month. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room.
UAW, we on strike.
As President Jimmy Carter had his personal showdown with Iran, Americans were held hostage on his watch for 444 days, and he sent in troops to try to rescue them. That did not work out. How should the United States be handling Iran these days? And what does he think about Rudy Giuliani? And why does he say Giuliani is being, in his word, foolish? Here's more of my one-on-one interview with Jimmy Carter. Let's talk about a sensitive subject on the agenda right now, Iran. And I want to play for you a question that was put by one of our viewers to us in this CNN report. Turn around and you'll hear the question directly.
Hello, Mr. President. I wanted to know what you think of the build-up to war that's being obviously advocated by the Vice President and the President, the current administration, and what you think our best actions would be in regards to Iran. Thank you very much.
Well, I basically agree with Condoleezza Rice, who has taken issue with the Vice President Cheney, on whether we should promulgate a possibility of war against Iran. I've noticed that even some of the administration officials or spokesmen for them have even advocated using nuclear weapons against Iran. I think it would be a horrible mistake to attack Iran militarily. How would we invade Iran when we don't even have enough troops to give them a leave to go home to their families from Iraq? We are short on...
Well, some of these so-called experts say you could do it with air power alone. Cruise missiles, bombers, you go in there and destroy their so-called nuclear facilities.
I know some experts say that. I don't agree with that. And what we should do about Iran, first of all, do not attack Iran. Secondly, what to do. I think two things, to be very brief. We don't have much time. One is to start talking to Iran, communicate with Iran. After the Shah was overthrown and the Ayatollah Khomeini took over, we continued our diplomatic relations with Iran. I had, as you know, about 75 people in Tehran, some of whom were taken prisoners, and the Iranians had about 75 of their representatives in Washington. So talk to them and communicate with them. Secondly, use strong diplomatic means to make sure they don't go ahead with the nuclear program. And I think to quit threatening to attack them, because that just increases their fervor in developing all kinds of protective devices, including maybe nuclear weapons.
You won't be surprised that Rudy Giuliani, the Republican presidential candidate, disagrees with you on this, and I'm going to play a little clip of what he says. Listen to this.
I could almost write it for him, because I know the extreme cases that he has.
All right, listen to this.
Iran is a greater danger than Iraq. Iraq cannot be seen in a vacuum, and we have to be willing to use a military option to stop Iran from becoming nuclear.
All right, what do you say to Giuliani?
He's foolish. I hope that he doesn't become president and try to impose on the American people a conviction that we need to go to a war with Iran, but we're still at war with Iraq.
Do you believe that Iran is working on a nuclear bomb?
I don't know. I think if they are, some people surmise that they are, they're several years in the future. And I think we can best deter that by diplomatic relations with them and consultations with them, and stop threatening that we're going to attack them so they won't think that they have to respond with all kinds of devices.
You know, you've been criticized for your handling of Iran when the Shah was in power, you know, in the late 70s. Looking back, all these years, knowing what's happened, what, if anything, would you have done differently?
I would have had one more helicopter in our rescue mission, which would have brought all the hostages out safe and free. And so I had to wait from April around until 5 minutes after I was no longer president, when all the hostages did come home safe and free.
Because the argument is, as bad as the Shah was on human rights and other issues, he was an ally of the U.S. and probably better than the current regime, and that the U.S. should have stuck with him.
Well, we couldn't stick with him. He was not overthrown by anything the United States did. He was overthrown by his own people. And as I said earlier, after they did overthrow the Shah, we took care of the Shah as best we could, and we also continued our conversations with, our diplomatic relations with, the new regime.
The Senate passed a resolution the other day, co-sponsored by Senator Lieberman and Senator Kyle, saying this: it is the sense of the Senate that the United States should designate Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps as a foreign terrorist organization. Hillary Clinton, the Democratic presidential frontrunner, she voted for that resolution to pass 76 to 22. Was that a good vote on her part?
She has the complete freedom to vote the way she chooses. Had I been in the Senate, I would not have voted for it, because an earlier version of that, which I read, said that this also involved direct military action against Iran. So in effect, that vote was giving the administration the imprimatur of Congress to go to war against Iran, the same thing that she voted for earlier.
Because some of her critics said that she would indirectly give authorization to the president if he wanted to go to war against Iran by this kind of vote. Her critics, Democrats and Republicans.
But I'm not criticizing her. I'm just telling you the way I would have voted had I been there, because I think that a vote for that resolution about Iran opens up the possibility of the administration saying in the future, we got authority from the Congress, from the Senate, to go to war.
The Israelis bombed some sort of facility in Syria, as you know, in September. And there's now suggestions, including in the New York Times, that there's a dispute between the Vice President Dick Cheney, the Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, on what it entailed and whether the U.S. should have authorized or gone along with this. In the Times today, it says this. It has long been known that North Korean scientists have aided Damascus in developing sophisticated ballistic missile technology, and there appears to be little debate that North Koreans frequently visited a site in the Syrian desert that Israeli jets attacked September 6th. Where officials disagree is whether the accumulated evidence points to a Syrian nuclear program that poses a significant threat to the Middle East. What do you make of what, you're an expert in the Middle East, what do you make of this attack, the U.S. response, what should the U.S. response have been, and this dispute apparently that has developed between Secretary Rice and Vice President Cheney?
Well, almost without knowing the subject, if somebody asked me, do you agree with Condoleezza Rice or the Vice President, I would just say automatically, I agree with Condoleezza Rice, not even knowing what the subject is. But in this case, I don't really know. I don't have any access to any sort of intelligence briefing or the facts. My guess is, though, that the site did not involve nuclear capabilities, but it might very well have involved long-range missiles, because the North Koreans, even though there's a destitute financial country, is superb in technology development with the limited capabilities they have. I'm thoroughly familiar with that. And so my guess is that they were helping Syria develop some kind of missile technology.
And do you have a problem with the Israelis using F-16s or other U.S.-made hardware in this kind of a strike?
Well, that's a judgment for the Israelis to make. And I understand not only has the United States and Israel stayed mute, but also Syria has remained mute about it. So I don't know enough about the subject to comment.
In the new afterword to your other bestseller, Palestine, Peace Not Apartheid, you write this, you write, America must not be seen in the pocket of either side. We cannot be peacemakers if American government leaders are seen as knee-jerk supporters of every action or policy or of whatever Israeli government happens to be in power at the moment. That is the essential fact that must be faced.
Yes, that's certainly true.
You caused a big stir on the last book, as you well know. Any second thoughts?
No, not at all. And I think that finally, after 7 years of no effort to bring peace to the Middle East, the administration has now taken a very bold step, and I hope a very successful step, next month by convening talks in the United States between Israel and the Palestinians for the first time with any substance involved. This will be a very good step in the right direction, which I pray will be successful. But we can't just say we adopt all the policies of the Israeli government. Now the Palestinians can come in if they want to as a second-class citizen and hope to be successful.
Let's wind up this interview with another question from a viewer that was sent in on our iReport. Turn around and you'll hear the question.
Fine.
Hello, my name is Victor Ma, and I'm a student here in Tempe, Arizona. This question is to former President Jimmy Carter. What advice would you give to the future 44th President of the United States involving the economy, the future of Iraq, and the rising cost of tuition for college students like me?
All right, well, why don't we focus in on the rising cost of tuition for a college student like him? We've already spoken about Iraq, the economy. If you want to talk about that,
well, I've got 11 grandchildren, so I'm deeply involved in college tuition. I hope we can hold down college tuition and be quite constructive on student loans. But I think that the new president of the United States, that I pray will be a Democrat in 2009, will make a speech that I think in 20 minutes can totally transform the attitude of the rest of the world toward America, just by saying, when I'm president, we will never again resort to torture. When I'm president, we will honor all international agreements which have been consummated by my predecessors concerning the control of nuclear weapons. When I'm president, I'm going to join and be the leader of the rest of the world in protecting the quality of our environment. And now that I'm president, if he or she's already taken office, to say, I want our country to raise high the banner of human rights. And we will once again be the leaders of these things. I think in those few moments, which might only take 10 minutes of an inaugural speech, we can completely transform the negative image that the United States now has around the world into a positive image.
The book is entitled Beyond the White House, Waging Peace, Fighting Disease, Building Hope. The author is Jimmy Carter. Mr. President, thanks for coming in.
I've enjoyed it, Wolf. Thank you very much.
We called the Giuliani campaign, by the way, for response to our interview. What Jimmy Carter had to say so far, they have not commented. Once they do, we'll share it with you. This additional programming note, tomorrow, here in the Situation Room, Senator Barack Obama will be among our guests. My interview with Senator Obama tomorrow in the Situation Room. Hillary Clinton, is she too polarizing? She says she learned some lessons about partisanship over the years. And the Big Three reality shows. The new book takes a critical look at the behind-the-scenes intrigue at the Big Three TV networks. We'll tell you what's going on. We'll be right back.
Around the World, brought to you by Korean Air. Excellence in flight.
What Korean Air is made of.
Excellence in flight. Korean Air.
Who's buzzing about better blood sugar control with Byetta?
It helped me starting day one.
Me too, day after day. People with type 2 diabetes who need better blood sugar control are talking to their doctor about adding Byetta to certain diabetes pills. In clinical studies, up to 4 times as many people on Byetta reach their blood sugar goals compared to those not on Byetta.
Though not a weight loss product, Byetta may also reduce your appetite and weight. On average, patients lost 5 pounds over time. Byetta comes in a pre-filled injection pen that uses a very small needle.
Byetta is not a substitute for insulin, so don't use it if you take insulin. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, all medications, and if you have severe stomach or kidney problems.
The combination of Byetta and a sulfonylurea may cause low blood sugar.
Side effects may include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and feeling jittery.
Call your doctor if you get severe abdominal pain or persistent vomiting, which could be signs of a serious condition.
Ask your doctor if Byetta is right for you.
Better control can start today.
Pass it on. We did it. For the clutch players, our beds, our lobbies. Courtyards changed it all. For the go-tos, the can-dos. Deep mattresses and crisp sheets. Wide open spaces with Wi-Fi, easy chairs, and freshly stocked 24-hour markets. All for them, for the pros who suit up and take the field.
Courtyard, redesigned by business travelers for business travelers.
Go team.
Closed captioning hours provided by Renewin, the only supplement for joint care and energy.
Introducing Renewin, the only intensive release supplement for joint care and energy. Renewin with glucosamine and chondroitin improves joint comfort, joint mobility, and boosts energy. Renewin in stores now.
Introducing Del Vostro. Customized systems, services, and expertise designed just for small business. PCs with no trialware that can be powered by Intel Core 2 Duo processors to keep you up and running fast. The new Del Vostro.
You've seen them. Now it's your chance to vote for them. Go to cnn.com/heroes and choose your favorite. The viewer's choice. Vote online at cnn.com/heroes. CNN Heroes. Sponsored by MV Parents and founding sponsor Coors Brewing Company.
Let's bring in our senior political analyst, Gloria Borger, to talk a little bit about Jimmy Carter. He's getting pretty tough. He's unleashed, I think it's fair to say.
You know, it's hard for me to think of a former president who's really been this partisan. And you'd have to say, looking at your interview, calling Rudy Giuliani partisan, really taking on Dick Cheney.
Foolish, too.
Foolish, yeah. It's very, very strong language for a former president.
He says even without knowing what the issue is, if it was a debate between the Vice President, Dick Cheney, or the Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice. He will always side with Condoleezza Rice without even knowing what the issue is.
All right. Of course, this is good for Republicans. It's good for Rudy Giuliani for him to take on
because it helps with the Republican base.
Exactly. And it stirs up the Democratic base as well, because Jimmy Carter has been anti-war all along, and he's very popular with the Democratic base.
Now, Hillary Clinton, on this issue of polarization, I want you to talk a little bit about that. She said she's learned over the years from the whole partisanship thing.
Yeah, she gave an interview to the Washington Post today in which she essentially said, summing up, that she's both felt it and she's dealt it. That therefore this qualifies her to be somebody who can unite the country. She really understands, Wolf, that this is her big problem with the electorate. People really want a president now that can unite the country, not divide the country. We've heard that before. And she knows, looking at the polls, that that's really her Achilles heel. So she's going to start making this argument now that because she's been on both sides, she really knows how to work with people of both parties. It's unclear whether voters who already don't like her and believe she's polarizing will actually believe her.
Gloria, thanks for coming in.
Sure.
And when we come back, we're going to continue our news. But first, Lou Dobbs standing by to tell us what's coming up at the top of the hour. Lou?
Thank you, Wolf. Tonight we're reporting on a showdown in the Supreme Court over the fate of a criminal illegal alien on death row who brutally murdered 2 teenagers in the state of Texas. The Supreme Court hearing could determine the outcome of a fight over states' rights and the jurisdiction of international courts in the United States. 2 leading congressmen from Texas join us, and outrage after a judge in California blocks a federal government initiative to penalize employers who hire illegal aliens. There may be a conspiracy here. We'll explore that possibility in our special report. And a new battle in the war on our middle class. Union members at Chrysler on strike for the first time in 2 decades over wages, job security, and health benefits. What will be the outcome, as it appears they are about to reach agreement? We'll have the very latest for you. And what will it mean for workers throughout the United States? All of that, much more, all the day's news at the top of the hour. Please join us. Wolf, back to you.
Thanks, Lou. We'll see you in a few moments. Coming up here in the Situation Room, we'll have an inside look at what's being described as the last great TV news war and the constantly shifting dynamic between the White House and the news media. Also, Nancy Pelosi won't list any mistakes she's made as the House Speaker. Jack Cafferty wants to know if you can think of any. Stay with us. You're in the Situation.
Keith Ellison.
What if your entire business could learn to minimize risks? Well, off the course anyway, because change happens. Zurich.
But again, we're not dealing with the issue. Relentless. This is anti-middle class. Independent. Doesn't anybody deserve a government that works?
Lou Dobbs tonight, next on CNN.
Never before have people with diabetes had a choice like this. Crunchy Glucerna cereals to start your day deliciously. Instead of spiking your blood sugar like an ordinary cereal, Glucerna cereals spike your taste buds. And with unique carbohydrate blends, both Glucerna cereals and shakes, now in reclosable bottles, can help you manage blood sugar so you can get out there and enjoy life. Glucerna, smart nutrition for people with diabetes. Find it near the pharmacy section of your local store.
If I lost my job, I'd lose what little life insurance I have. My Garden State Life policy gives me the peace of mind I need and the security my family deserves.
Usually life insurance isn't something that people like to think about. But if you have loved ones, you should. When you get right down to it, life insurance is a promise. It's a promise to your family that they won't have to worry about how they're going to pay the bills if something happens to you.
As a single mom, I'm all my kids have. I've got to think about what might happen to them if something happened to me.
Now, I chose Garden State Life to help me keep my promise because I believe that they have the financial strength to keep theirs. They promise quality coverage, up to $50,000. They promise no medical exam. They promise the full amount of coverage from day one with no waiting periods. And benefits will never decrease.
Call for your free informational promise package, including a free quote. Call 800-985-4100. 800-985-4100.
K-Stern's first live interview since Anna Nicole's death. Larry King tonight.
If you watch The Situation Room, as obviously you do, you're probably very interested in the shifting dynamic unfolding right now between the White House and the news media. Now there's a new book, and it's offering a true inside look. It's called Reality Show, and the author of the book is the host of CNN's Reliable Sources, Howard Kurtz. He's going to be joining us shortly. But let's go to Carol Costello first for some background. Give us a sense, Carol, what is in this hot new book?
Well, Wolf, a lot of juicy behind-the-scenes stuff. If you've ever wondered how much power TV anchors have and how they use it, you will want to read this book.
The White House, 2006. The president holds a private briefing for major network anchors just hours before the State of the Union address.
The United States will not retreat from the world, and we will never surrender to evil.
In private with the anchors, President Bush is even more forceful about pursuing the war on terrorism. We're not backing away. We're going after the bastards. CBS anchor Bob Schieffer asks, Mr. President, do we really have a military option on Iran that's viable? The president responds, hell yes, it's viable. This according to a new book about broadcast news by Howard Kurtz, host of Reliable Sources on CNN. It gives a behind-the-scenes glimpse at national newsrooms and how the White House deals with the media. For example, the competition by star reporters to secure an interview with the president. Whether Bush personally liked an anchor was a key factor in how much access he or she would receive. That according to a former White House communications director who says Brian Williams of NBC is the president's favorite. But when Katie Couric was scheduled for an interview a year ago, her first ever in 5 years, Bush gave his longtime aide some grief, but went along with the decision. Kurtz says Couric's predecessor at CBS, Dan Rather, was persona non grata from day one, even before his report questioning the president's service in the Texas National Guard. The network retracted the story, and Rather lost his job. Kurtz reports that inside CBS, the debate grew so intense over whether to air the story, Rather at one point threatened, I'm going to give one of the documents to the New York Times to run in Wednesday's paper. Rather has since filed a lawsuit against CBS over the issue. He says his bosses at CBS caved under political pressure.
Big government and big corporations have far too much influence and are intimidating, especially investigative reporting.
Now, we called everyone we mentioned in my story. We heard back from Dan Rather's attorney who said, and I quote, we have not read the book. However, Howard Kurtz's coverage of the Rather lawsuit has been anything but reliable. On that basis, anything that comes from Howard Kurtz is highly suspect. Back to you, Wolf.
All right, Carol, thanks very much. The author of the new book, Reality Show Inside the Last Great Television News Wars, is Howard Kurtz. He's also the host of CNN's Reliable Sources and The Washington Post. Howie, first of all, congratulations on writing this book.
Thank you.
What's the most important thing that you learned? You know this story about as well as anyone. In all your reporting, what nugget did you come out with that you simply didn't know before that startled you?
Well, I was surprised, Wolf, at the degree to which there was pressure from the administration on the networks and their anchors over coverage of the Iraq War. I mean, we knew they weren't happy, administration officials, about what they described as very negative coverage. But during 2005 and 2006, whether it was Dan Bartlett, then the White House counselor, constantly complaining to NBC's Tim Russert, or the president himself trying to give his spin to the anchors at these off-the-record White House meetings. The White House made very clear that it was not happy with the direction of the newscast coverage of Iraq, which I believe, because of their much bigger audiences, played a key role in turning public opinion against the war during that crucial period of time.
What else don't we know about this relationship between the White House and these broadcast news anchors and their associates?
Well, for example, every time the president decides to grant an interview, he huddles with his advisors, whether it's Katie Couric, Charlie Gibson, Brian Williams. Do I want to do this? What am I going to say? What's the headline going to be? But also, the networks, after a while, began to internalize the criticism and say, well, maybe we're not doing enough good news from Iraq. So, for example, CBS executives asked Chief Foreign Correspondent Lara Logan to consider doing a story about female soldiers who are keeping cyber pets online. Well, Logan, who prefers being out in the troops on the front line, sent an email back saying, I would rather stick needles in my eyes than spend 1 second of my time on that story. Also, White House was concerned about NBC's somewhat overblown insistence last year that the Iraq War would be referred to in the future as a civil war, which of course was a designation the administration wanted very much to avoid.
What kind of pressure do they put on these anchors to try to get the story the way they want it? I mean, what are the carrots and the sticks?
Well, I suppose the ultimate stick, you might say, is a lack of access to the president. For example, Katie Couric very much displeased the Bush White House when she was at the Today Show and pressed Laura Bush about her views on abortion. This was just before the president took office. For 5 years, Katie Couric was basically frozen out. No White House, the president would not give her an interview. Only when she went to CBS did they relent under advice from Dare Bartlett and say, well, I guess we have to do business with her. But even below that level, look, I mean, they decide who goes on the Sunday shows, and the administration has ways of expressing its unhappiness. I must say, I think the anchors, pushed back hard, were relentless in trying to paint an accurate picture of what was going on in Iraq, to the point that the administration now acknowledges it did not at the time, that the war was not going well then, and that's why they had to change the strategy. And gearing up towards the presidential campaign, the election next year, what do you see happening? How's this going to play out? Well, here's a fascinating tidbit from reality show, Wolf. When Hillary Clinton announced her candidacy, the day later, she went to all the network newscasts. She did interviews with Charlie Gibson, with Brian Williams, with Katie Couric. That's how important that her campaign thought that these broadcast networks are. But Charlie Gibson pushed back hard. He did not like being told that you could only do a 3.5-minute interview. It had to be taped. He felt that even the president didn't get to set those kind of conditions. They finally compromised on a live interview. It gives us the inside story, inside the last great television news war. The book is entitled Reality Show. The author is Howard Kurtz. Good work, Howie. Thanks for coming in. Thank you, Wolf. The House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, won't say if she's made any mistakes. Jack Cafferty and his fans, they have some suggestions. You're going to hear them. They are right here in the Situation Room. The importance of S-chip.
Plug-in, the first ultra-adaptable room from Marriott.
This is what a healthcare crisis looks like to the American Cancer Society. People with cancer, but without insurance. Countless others with insurance, just not enough to cover something as devastating as cancer. We're making progress, but it's not enough if people don't have access to the care that could save their lives. Together, we can change that. Find out what we're doing and how you can help at cancer.org. This is the American Cancer Society.
I liked how they wanted to know me as a person before they matched me up with someone else.
To get to know you as a person, that's what eHarmony is all about. Log on to eHarmony.com, where it's absolutely free to review your matches.
What Korean Air is made of.
Excellence in flight. Korean Air.
Here's a look at some of the hot shots coming in from our friends over at the Associated Press. Pictures likely to be in your hometown newspapers tomorrow. In Berlin, the German soccer team goalkeeper stretches during a team training session, the team facing Ireland Saturday. In Bahrain, a cannon blasts at the sunset to signal the end of the Muslim day of fasting. The Islamic holy month of Ramadan ends this week. At the Vatican, Pope Benedict accepts a flower made of balloons from a visitor. And in Washington, a 4-year-old gets a face full of leaves from his brother in a park. Some of this hour's hot shots. Pictures worth 1,000 words. Let's go right to Jack Cafferty in New York for the Cafferty File. Jack.
Well, if Nancy Pelosi won't list any mistakes she's made so far as Speaker of the House, so we asked our viewers, can you think of any? Dave in Brooklyn writes, I can think of only one mistake she's made since November. It was the abdication of all responsibility to the voters who elected the Democratic majority and gave them their mandate. She's gone out of her way to acquiesce to every whim of the Bush disaster. Vince in Carson City, Nevada, Pelosi's biggest mistake, not initiating impeachment proceedings immediately after her hand slipped off the Bible at her swearing-in ceremony. Jenny in Pennsylvania, she's not perfect, that's for sure, but I'm not ready to hand the House back to the GOP. Ms. Pelosi doesn't wield power arrogantly and cynically as Hastert and the Republicans did, and for that she deserves more time to prove herself. Mike in New York, she has made a huge mistake. She could have ended the war by simply not allowing any of the supplemental funding bills for Iraq to come to the floor for a vote. It's the Congress's power of the purse. If she had the political guts and really wanted to end the conflict, she simply never would have allowed any of these funding bills to continue getting passed. She had and has the power in her hand to stop this war, and she never has. Rich in Salt Lake City, I think the real error is on the part of the American people. Republicans were screwing things up for years, and we expected Democrats to clean it all up in a couple of months. Maybe Pelosi's mistake was in not admitting the real-world timeline for such major change, especially with an impatient and unrealistic American public looking over her shoulder. And Phil in Lexington, South Carolina. So, Nancy, mistakes are off the table, are they? If you didn't see your email here, you can go to cnn.com/Cafferty file, where we post more of them online, along with video clips of the Cafferty file. Wolf.
They're under a lot of pressure, these Democrats, Nancy Pelosi included, to try to do something about the war in Iraq, but they're finding their options limited.
Well, one of the options they have is the power to appropriate money, and they decide what bills get voted on the floor, and she, as the Speaker of the House, determines which bills are called up for a vote. So you can do the math yourself.
Jack, see you back here in an hour. Don't forget tomorrow, Senator Barack Obama here in the Situation Room. In the meantime, that's it from me. Let's go to Lou in New York. Lou?
Thank you, Wolf. Tonight, outrage after a judge in California blocks a federal government initiative to penalize illegal employers of illegal aliens. We'll have that special report. Also tonight, a showdown in the Supreme Court over the fate of a criminal illegal alien on death row who brutally murdered 2 teenage girls in Texas. That hearing could determine the outcome of a fight over states' rights, the jurisdiction of international courts, and the sovereignty of the United States as well. And a tentative agreement appears to have been reached after a strike, a short strike, by union members at Chrysler. We'll tell you what the agreement could mean for middle-class working Americans across the entire country. All of that, all the day's news, and much more, straight ahead here tonight.
This is Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Wednesday, October 10th. Live from New York, Lou Dobbs.
Good evening, everybody. Turkey tonight appears to be on the verge of launching a military offensive against Kurdish separatists in Iraq. The Turkish Air Force today bombed separatist positions just inside the border with Iraq. Turkish tanks are massing near the frontier. And meanwhile, the Turkish president blasting U.S. congressmen who support a resolution declaring the World War I killing of Armenians to be a genocide. Earlier, President Bush appealed to Congress to reject that resolution. Jamie McIntyre has our report from the Pentagon. Jamie?
Lou, tonight the border between Turkey and northern Iraq is as tense as the relation between the U.S. and its NATO ally. Turkey says it has had enough of cross-border attacks from Kurdish PKK rebels operating from Iraq, and it is preparing to launch an operation into the Kurdish region in the north. The Turkish parliament is now debating that authorization. And while the U.S. is urging restraint, Congress is passing a resolution that the White House says will only make things worse. The House Foreign Affairs Committee, by a vote of 27 to 21, labeled the mass killing of Armenians by Ottoman Turks 90 years ago as genocide. That has infuriated the Turkish government, and President Bush says the timing could not be worse.
This resolution is not the right response to these historic mass killings, and its passage would do great harm to our relations with a key ally in NATO.
The Pentagon argues the resolution would anger Turkey and hamper the war effort in Iraq. 70% of air cargo, including armored MRAP vehicles, as well as 30% of fuel, fly by way of the Incirlik Air Base in Turkey.
Access to airfields and to the roads and so on in Turkey would be very much put at risk if this resolution passes and the Turks react as strongly as we believe they will.
Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Tom Lantos framed the debate as a sobering choice between condemning genocide and supporting U.S. troops.
We cannot provide genocide denial as one of the perks of friendship with the United States.
We're in the middle of 2 wars, and we've got troops out there over there that are at risk. And we're talking about kicking the one ally that's helping us over there in the face right now. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
The U.S. is still hoping Turkey will hold its fire, even though it pounded Kurdish targets in Iraq today with warplanes and helicopters. And while Turkey does have a real problem with attacks by Kurdish rebels, the fear here at the Pentagon is that a counteroffensive could open a whole new front in what up to now has been the most stable part of Iraq. Lou?
The most stable part of Iraq. In fact, this administration has made it clear that this is a possibility. They have reacted without concern in the months in which we have seen Turkey moving toward what appears to be the possibility, an imminent possibility, in fact, of an incursion into Iraq. Why has the administration not been more declarative and definitive in its position in the weeks and months preceding today?
Well, it's been trying to finesse the situation, both with its Turkish allies, which of course is a NATO ally, and with probably the best allies the U.S. has in Iraq, the Kurds in the north. It's trying to finesse that situation while recognizing that Turkey has a real problem, pressuring both sides to try to come to some sort of resolution. But what we've seen is the U.S. doesn't exert much control over those Kurdish rebels, and that has Turkey about ready to launch a major military operation.
Well, finesse is not exactly the strong suit of this administration in any capacity, in any part of this administration. But the idiocy of a United States Congress taking on an issue that's almost a century old when we have so many crucial, critical issues facing the United States, both globally and domestically, what in the world is motivating a discussion of World War I at this particular time by what is passing for a United States Congress?
Well, I have to say, I saw one general walking down the hall today, and he was just shaking his head. You know, not that people don't agree with the sentiment here, but he just said, gee, could they do this at a worse time? Could they just make this any more difficult? That's the question people are asking themselves.
Jamie, thank you very much. Jamie McIntyre from the Pentagon. Turkey has more than 500,000 troops, as Jamie McIntyre has just reported, more troops than any other NATO nation, with the exception of the United States. The Turkish military is equipped mostly with U.S. equipment, including tanks built largely in the 1950s and 60s. But Turkey recently placed major defense contracts with both Europe and South Korea, which include a new suggestion that Turkey's relations with the United States are, in point of fact, weakening. The U.S. military today launched new strikes against suspected al-Qaeda terrorists in Iraq. The U.S. military said an airstrike killed 13 terrorists west of Baghdad. 12 other terrorists were captured in Baquba, north of Baghdad. Military officials say American troops also killed or captured more than 60 terrorists in Diyala province. And over recent days, 2 more of our troops have been killed in Iraq. The military reporting that both soldiers died of non-battle related causes. 13 of our troops have been killed in Iraq so far this month. 3,821 of our troops killed since the beginning of the war. 28,171 of our troops wounded. 12,622 of them seriously. The Pentagon today said the military recruited 180,000 new troops over the past year. But military officials acknowledge that incentives have risen and standards for new recruits have dropped. The Army reporting the number of recruits who required waivers because of minor criminal offenses also rose. The Undersecretary of Defense, David Chu, tried to explain recruiters' handling of potential recruits who had drug convictions.
One of the questions they ask about is, did you ever use marijuana? If I remember correctly, I'm trying to correct me wrong, in the Marine Corps, if you answer yes about one use, requires a waiver. It's a pretty tough standard. Not to be cheeky about this, we apply that standard to our legislative overseers. A significant fraction would need waivers to join the United States military.
Now that's an undersecretary talking, and you heard him correctly. He said many members of Congress would require a waiver for youthful drug use to serve in our military, as if that has some relationship to what is going on with recruiting efforts and goals by the U.S. military. President Bush today focusing on the battle with Congress over warrantless wiretaps. President Bush declaring he will not sign a new wiretaps bill that, in his view, fails to protect the United States. But Democrats accuse the president of playing the fear card. Jessica Yellen has our report from Capitol Hill.
President Bush is warning House Democrats not to send him a wiretap bill he says will damage America's intelligence gathering tools.
My administration has serious concerns about some of its provisions, and I am hopeful that the deficiencies in the bill can be fixed.
And his allies in the House agree.
The Democrats are taking a big step backward and are putting the handcuffs back on our intelligence officials.
I think this is one of the worst pieces of legislation that I've ever had the misfortune to see.
Republicans claim it would slow down intelligence gathering. They're pushing for a bill that would allow eavesdropping on people overseas without court approval. That would give immunity to telecommunications firms that cooperated in past surveillance and guarantee that NSA wiretapping can continue permanently. Republicans say without those measures, the legislation won't get their support.
You're going to see a solid vote against this FISA bill.
But House Democrats insist the current law gives the intelligence community too much unchecked power. They say they can pass a new bill without Republican backing.
The bill before us gives the administration everything it says it needs in terms of the actual tools to collect intelligence.
But this fight is a political balancing act for Democrats.
The Democratic base, the liberal wing of the party, wants to stress constitutional issues and individual rights issues, but many Democrats on Capitol Hill want to protect themselves on the issue of the war against terror. So this is an issue that they're kind of forced to take on, but that is uncomfortable for them.
Uncomfortable, Lou, but one Democrats say they can win as long as they cast this as a fight to protect Americans from government intrusion in their lives. Lou?
Jessica, this fight obviously was initiated in August when this democratically led Congress had the same precise opportunities to deal with the very same issues. They're taking them up now. It appears that the Democratic leadership is fighting with itself over these issues.
Well, Lou, not surprisingly, they maintain that they have full support of their party on this measure this time, and they think that they can make a home run with it.
A home run. All right. Well, it's perhaps even a slam dunk. Jessica, thank you very much. Jessica Yellen from Capitol Hill. Coming up next, a new showdown over the enforcement of our immigration laws. Casey Wine will have our report. Casey?
Lou, the Department of Homeland Security is trying to crack down on businesses that hire illegal aliens with phony Social Security numbers. But a federal judge won't let that happen. We'll try to explain why. Lou?
Thank you, Casey. We look forward to that. Also, a tentative agreement after a short strike by Chrysler workers fighting for their job security, wages, and health benefits. And we'll hazard a guess about the potential impact on American working people across the country. We'll have the very latest. In the world's biggest toy brand, Mattel, facing charges. The company failed to protect American consumers from dangerous imports from communist China, but certainly took care of itself, or at least the stock portfolio of its top executives. Stay with us. We'll have that story, a great deal more. We're coming right back.
All right.
That's a lot of green.
What is that? I don't know. It's okay, guys. I've done a course. Positive thinking, okay? Positive thought has a positive impact. That's right, okay, come on.
Talk is no substitute for action. Make it happen. The Royal Bank of Scotland Group.
That's the power.
Have a great retirement, Tom.
Thank you.
I believe this is yours. We really need to talk now that you're retired. Ignore me, but you need to protect some of your assets. An AXA Equitable Annuity could help turn your 401k into guaranteed income for life. I'd call them. But what do I know? I'm just the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Want guaranteed income for life? Call your financial advisor and ask for an annuity from AXA Equitable.
Okay, good talk.
I lost my job and my health insurance. The first thought was, how am I going to get my medication I need? I was in a lot of trouble.
If you're uninsured and struggling, America's pharmaceutical companies want to help. Call 1-888-4PPA now to see if you may qualify.
PPA saves me $1,300 a month.
We've been to nearly 1,000 cities in all 50 states, helping more than 4 million people in need.
Without my wife and PPA, I don't know if I could have been here today.
The Partnership for Prescription Assistance, on the road to helping you. culture or pop culture. We didn't set out to play games or to start a religion. We just made the car, the BMW 3 Series, another expression of independence from a company built on it.
Larry King Tonight, exclusive. Anna Nicole Smith's companion, Howard K. Stern. His first live primetime interview since her shocking death. And since he handed over her baby girl to Larry Burkhead. Larry King Live, tonight 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
A federal judge today blocked a federal government plan that would crack down on illegal employers of illegal aliens. The court decision temporarily forbids federal government agencies from sending so-called no-match letters to businesses hiring those illegal aliens. As Casey Wyan now reports, those letters warn employers about the consequences of knowingly hiring illegal aliens.
The Department of Homeland Security is prepared to send letters warning 140,000 American businesses that they must correct discrepancies in their workers' Social Security numbers and fire those without work authorization or face civil, even criminal penalties. An overwhelming majority of the 8 million employees with mismatched Social Security numbers are believed to be illegal aliens, but some are legitimate workers with innocent mistakes. In issuing a temporary injunction, California federal judge Charles Breyer sided with the AFL-CIO, the ACLU, businesses, and immigrant rights groups. They're suing to block the Bush administration's efforts to crack down on employers of illegal aliens.
The system is full of discrepancies. Sending out no-match letters will lead to unfair firings of legal workers, wrongful detention, and a chaotic churning of workers across the country.
About a third of the targeted businesses are in California and Texas. 600,000 affected workers are AFL-CIO members. Labor unions and businesses persuaded the judge they would be irreparably harmed if the no-match warnings go out. The ACLU calls the ruling, quote, a major rebuke to the Bush administration and accuses the administration of a callous disregard for legal workers and citizens under the guise of so-called immigration enforcement.
I'm disappointed. I mean, obviously it's an interim ruling. We're going to continue to pursue the case, and if necessary, obviously we have appeals we can take. I want to come back, though, to what I still think is a really simple, common-sense proposition. This is about enforcing a law that's been on the books for years, which is you cannot hire illegal aliens.
Judge Breyer ruled the government would not be significantly harmed by a preliminary injunction, in part because the Homeland Security Department delayed implementing the new rule for a year, presumably hoping Congress would enact so-called comprehensive immigration reform. All along, Homeland Security has said it would only use the no-match letters to prosecute employers that knowingly hire illegal aliens, not those with clerical or other innocent mistakes. Nearly a page and a half of the judge's ruling was dedicated to a discussion of the meaning of the word knowing, as in what constitutes an employer knowingly hiring an illegal alien. On that point, the ACLU and the unions claimed a no-match letter does not reasonably inform an employer that a worker is likely to be unauthorized. The judge, however, Lou, rejected that argument.
Well, the judge rejected just about everything that would be reasonable or in any way empirical or rational. This fine judge has to be a complete, he has to be a moron not to assume an understanding of knowing. This is bizarre. The lengths to which some of these district court judges, particularly in the state of California, will go to defeat reason and appropriate rule of law.
It certainly seems like this judge came down on the side of cheap labor over the issue of national security. But I have to point out, Lou, that the Department of Homeland Security and the Bush administration, in the judge's mind, bear some responsibility for this. These regulations were ready to go for a year. The DHS did not put them into effect while they waited for so-called comprehensive immigration reform to pass.
Well, let me go a little farther than that, Casey. Let me go a little farther than that.
Okay.
This administration for 6 years has refused to secure our borders, our ports, and to enforce immigration law, and they deserve a special place in hell that's reserved for those who will not serve this nation and serve responsibly the people who elect them to office and who count upon them, rely upon them for our nation's security and for the well-being of our populace. I mean, it is disgusting beyond belief. The next step here.
The next step, as Secretary Chertoff said, they've got appeals. This lawsuit will continue to go forward. The administration says it's going to fight it vigorously. They still think they're going to win on the merits. They still think they have the right to use these no-match letters as evidence that an employer may be hiring an illegal alien, Lou.
And somebody needs to do, I think, an investigation of why the AFL-CIO has so many no-match numbers amongst its members. It's shocking that the AFL-CIO, wanting to preserve the rights of the American worker, is selling out on the issue of illegal immigration. I think we need to see a real serious examination of that, and I think the leadership of the AFL-CIO owes its membership a very strong explanation and a full, transparent explanation, and a full accounting as well. Casey, thank you very much. Casey Wyand from Los Angeles. That brings us to the subject of our poll question tonight. Do you believe no-match letters are, as the American Civil Liberties Union insists, part of a, quote, callous disregard for legal workers and citizens? Yes or no? Cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. We'll have the results here later in the broadcast. Let's turn now to a developing story. The strike at Chrysler is over just over 7 hours ago. 31,000 Chrysler workers, members of the United Auto Workers Union, manned the picket lines, demanding higher wages and better job security. That after a breakdown in reaching an agreement by the 11 a.m. Eastern Time deadline. Union workers did reach a tentative settlement with the new owners at the money-losing car maker. Bill Tucker is here now and has the latest for us. This just developing over the last short while. Bill?
Lou, this strike barely got started, and at the end of it, the union and the company are not saying much, except that the strike is over. UAW releasing a statement that says, in part, quote, once again, teamwork in the leadership and solidarity in the ranks has produced an agreement that protects our jobs and our communities.
Okay, what happened here? What's the deal?
We don't know. We know that the company came out and said that they reached an agreement to protect the retiree benefits of retiree health care benefits. Right. So we can presume
Chrysler has no better
some kind of VIVA.
Meanwhile, Chrysler has no better competitive position against foreign car makers, and General Motors has no better competitive position against foreign car makers, particularly the transplants, which are in the state without the necessity of providing for those legacy health care costs. Right. And the fact of the matter is, both of those companies, their management, their leadership has demonstrated no ability to be aggressive and effective in attracting consumers with attractive automobiles that will succeed in the marketplace.
Oh, and it's very evident in Chrysler's case, Lou. They're no longer a big three. They're a lowly fourth, because Toyota kicked them out of that earlier this year, and it's GM, Toyota,
they are
Ford,
back to the big three list because they do have American ownership. We've got that much. They've got that much going for them.
Private equity at work. That's true.
Now we'll decide whether or not it's good to be in that standing. But at least a step forward. And it's very important to workers across this country. No one wants to discuss this in this country, it seems today. Right. But the unions, I just mentioned the AFL-CIO, they're basically screwing the American worker and many of those that they represent with their attention on illegal aliens who are, frankly, driving labor down, particularly in poor industries, construction, leisure, hospitality, landscaping. But this is a situation in which those unions have built the strength of the American worker in terms of conditions and guarantees, workplace safety. Right. The implications here are critically important for all workers in this country, particularly in manufacturing, dwindling as it may be, but critically important for the well-being of American manufacturing workers.
Absolutely, and even the workers who aren't unionized, Lou, owe their benefits, their health care, and all of the things they get today to positions that the union has taken over the years.
And it's obvious we're headed in a very new direction, and one that is leading us into uncharted territory. Hopefully that failure to have a charted territory will mean that will lead us into an area that means resolution for these difficult issues that are facing all of us in this country right now. Yeah. Bill Tucker, thank you very much. Time now for some of your thoughts. Many of you writing in about my now upcoming debate with former Mexican President Vicente Fox, who challenged me. Robert in Arizona wrote in to say, you should debate Vicente Fox and President Bush at the same time. They both represent the same country, after all, and it sure isn't the United States. That's an intriguing thought. Perhaps we will extend that offer. See if President Bush would like to join President Fox and myself down in San Cristobal, Chiapas, Mexico. We're going to give him home field advantage, it looks like. And Sherry in Arizona. Lou, debate Fox. Hell yes, go get him. We'll do our best. And Eddie in Texas. George Walker Bush, the best president Mexico ever had. Well, Vicente Fox might argue with you. We'll have more of your thoughts here later in the broadcast. Still ahead here tonight, Texas, telling the Bush administration to stop interfering with the execution of a Mexican illegal alien rapist and murderer. And buyer beware, shocking allegations. Mattel lied to consumers, customers, and government regulators about product defects and dangers to consumers. We'll have that report, a great deal more, coming right up. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
We go behind the curtain. The meeting rooms, the boardrooms, between the lines, inside the factory, behind the speeches, all in the pursuit of insight, the kind that informs every decision, every recommendation, and every investment idea that we present to our clients. Morgan Stanley, Worldwise.
Working on the most important book of the 20th century.
Howard Hughes. His biography. One man will cross the line. As soon as they find out it's a fake, they'll kill us. Between fact and fiction. Richard Gere, the host. Own it on DVD Tuesday, October 16th. When sinus pressure from a cold or allergies start to build, all you want is relief. Relief from sinus pressure, from feeling so stuffed up, so congested, you might just blow. That's why there's Sudafed PE. The medicine in Sudafed PE is clinically shown to relieve nasal congestion fast. Sudafed PE gets your head back where it belongs. And for relief of your cold symptoms, try Sudafed PE Severe Cold.
Who better to dish up secrets on the vice president than his own wife? Glenn sits down with Lynn Cheney. Glenn Beck, Headline News, tonight, 7 and 9 Eastern.
Come to KFC and get 7 of the Colonel's famous drumsticks and thighs, the juiciest, most flavorful chicken, now only $4.99. Or get 14 drumsticks and thighs for just $9.99. And let the bonding begin. KFC chicken has the same great taste with 0 grams of trans fat per serving.
3, 2, 1. One historic night. Kurt Angle, Sting, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christian Cage, Abyss, and the most talked about man in wrestling today, Adam Pac-Man Jones.
It's all about the blame.
TNA Wrestling presents Bound for Glory. Live Sunday, October 14th on In-Demand Pay-Per-View.
Come to KFC and get 7 of the Colonel's famous drumsticks and thighs, the juiciest, most flavorful chicken, now only $4.99. Or get 14 drumsticks and thighs for just $9.99. And let the bonding begin. KFC chicken has the same great taste with 0 grams of trans fat per serving.
Tonight, Mattel, the world's largest toy brand, as it likes to style itself, faces a lawsuit filed by its shareholders. Mattel already has recalled more than 20 million of the Chinese-made toys that it has offshored for manufacture this year. Now, a group of shareholders says Mattel postponed telling regulators about those product defects, and with a purpose. As Christine Romans now reports, the lawsuit alleges Mattel profited from the strategy at the expense of children and consumer safety.
Its brand is already battered after recalls of millions of potentially dangerous toys. Now Mattel faces a shareholder lawsuit filed today in a Delaware court. Shareholder attorney Jay Eisenhofer says Mattel misled investors.
Mattel has got a history of these types of problems, and there should be policies and procedures in place to make sure that these types of things are not happening. How do you have lead in your toys that is 180 times the legal limit?
The suit also alleges Mattel for 10 years has delayed reporting faulty products to the government, repeatedly violating federal law. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is investigating the timing of Mattel's tainted toy disclosures. By law, defects must be reported within 24 hours. Mattel would not comment. Mattel's Fisher-Price brand was fined $975,000 for failing for months to report a defect on a popular farm toy. Mattel first learned of the problem in September 2002. 3 months later, a baby underwent lung surgery after inhaling a piece of the toy. Mattel did not report the flaw to the government until March 2003. 6 years ago, Mattel was fined a record $1.1 million for waiting months to report that its Fisher-Price Power Wheels toys caused 116 fires, $300,000 in property damage, and at least 9 minor burns in children. Then CPSC Chairman Ann Brown blasted the company, quote, Fisher-Price knew about hundreds of problems with its Power Wheels, yet did nothing for years. Failing to report product defects will not be tolerated. Fisher-Price paid the fine but denied the allegations. In this more recent safety scandal, Mattel has apologized to Congress.
We were let down, and we let you down.
And to the Chinese, saying Mattel's own design flaws had damaged China's reputation. Now, today's lawsuit claims investors have also suffered. They've lost 20% of their stock value since the scandals broke. According to the suit, in the months leading up to Mattel's recalls, insiders sold $33 million worth of Mattel stock. The Securities Exchange Commission, Lou, when we asked them about it, said they do not comment on investigations or on litigation, but this is the kind of thing that usually gets the attention of regulators.
Well, I would think that Mattel right now would have attracted the attention of just about everybody in this, well, assuming that this administration had the capacity to run a functional federal government. But consumer product safety, the Fair Trade Commission, I mean, my gosh, on nearly every level, this Mattel operation is failing the American consuming public.
And these 2 incidents that we told you about where they were actually fined by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, it was clear they waited months after their own internal investigations were ongoing, that they thought that there was a problem before they recalled the toys. And that really angered the then chairman of the Consumer Product Safety Commission, as you can see.
Well, and that anger for to whatever degree it resides now at the commission, of course, with the cutbacks in staffing, cutbacks in the budget, and basically almost neutering that agency. That anger can't be expressed in full force on behalf of the American consumer. Thank you very much, Christine Romans. Coming up next, a provocative new book by our very own Jack Cafferty. He challenges conventional wisdom, orthodoxy, elected officials, and just about everybody else. And look at that. He put the word ugly on a jacket with his own face on there. For guys like Cafferty and Dobbs, that's a dangerous thing to do. But he's going to join us. We're going to have a discussion. And we're going to flog his book mercilessly. The confrontation in New York over the governor's plan to give driver's license to illegal aliens escalating. A leading congressman from New York, Congressman Pete King, joins us here tonight. And we'll have a showdown in the Supreme Court over a state's right to execute a criminal illegal alien who brutally murdered 2 teenagers. Oh, but President Bush doesn't like that. The compassionate, conservative, darling president. And what in the world is he thinking now? You won't believe it. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
The HR pros at AdminStaff provide administrative relief, big company benefits, reduced liabilities, and a systematic way to improve productivity for America's small businesses. Small business is good for America. AdminStaff is good for small business.
You know, your whole life they tell you to save, save, save.
And we did. But when the time comes, nobody really tells you how to start spending.
Actually, Fidelity can. They helped us figure it out. Of course, they have these new ways to do all that stuff.
They helped with our income needs, so now we're free to tackle the Great Barrier Reef.
What happened to Paris?
Did we talk about Paris?
A lot.
We're going to Paris next.
Retirement income now made easier. Call Fidelity or your own advisor. Smart move.
This is the AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan card. You know what's great about this card? Wherever you go, nationwide, your coverage travels with you. And that's just one of the many reasons you need the card you can trust. Because with AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans, you get a full range of plans, personal health insurance advisors, and so much more. If you're turning 65 or older, or you've already enrolled in a Medicare Supplement plan, call for this free information kit and Medicare Guide. These are the only Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans exclusively endorsed by AARP. These plans, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, help cover some of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare alone. Want your choice of doctors or hospitals, virtually no claim forms, and no referrals needed to see a specialist? Remember, our Medicare supplement plans work with any standalone Medicare drug plans. Call now so you're covered for both. Yep, this is one great card.
Presenting the 263 horsepower Lincoln MKZ, rated highest in initial quality according to J.D. Power and Associates. Now joined by the fastest selling luxury crossover, the Lincoln MKX, with its award-winning safety and panoramic Vista roof. Reach higher and you're destined to reach the top. Now drive the innovative Lincoln MKX for $359 a month.
You did it once. Now it's time for history to repeat itself. The CNN YouTube Republican debate. Go to CNN.com/YouTube debates and post your questions for the candidates.
Be part of history, the CNN YouTube debate. This time, your voice will be heard.
The U.S. Supreme Court today heard arguments over the death penalty conviction of an illegal alien from Mexico in the brutal rape and murder of 2 teenage girls in Texas. The highly unusual case involves President Bush. The president now wants to stop the execution of the Mexican citizen, even though President Bush presided over more than 150 executions while he was governor of the state of Texas. Lisa Sylvester reports on why this case is very important for all Americans.
14-year-old Jennifer Ertman and 16-year-old Elizabeth Pena were gang raped and strangled in 1993 in Texas. Jose Medellin, a Mexican national, was convicted of taking part in the attack and was sentenced to death. The case is now before the U.S. Supreme Court.
We've been going on this process for 14 years. Enough is enough.
Medellin's lawyers claim he was not told of his right under the Vienna Convention to contact the Mexican consulate upon arrest. Mexico sued the United States in the International Court of Justice, which sided with Mexico. Then President Bush stepped in 2005, ordering Texas courts to grant new hearings for Medellin and other Mexicans on death row. Now at issue, states' rights versus federal authority, and international ruling versus domestic law.
Can the International Court of Justice opinion or the president's memo force Texas to open its state courthouse doors in a way that they wouldn't otherwise be open?
Texas says no, arguing an international court ruling does not supersede U.S. domestic law and U.S. courts.
If the World Court has the ability to trump the Supreme Court of the United States, that will gravely undermine the sovereignty of the American people.
The White House and lawyers for Medellin argue that the United States must live up to its treaty obligations to protect Americans detained or arrested overseas.
When the United States deals with the world, it deals as one nation, as one voice. And when it entered into the ICJ Protocol and the UN Charter and the Vienna Convention, it spoke as a nation. It didn't speak on the basis of individual states.
The High Court divided along ideological lines. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg arguing, quote, the United States gave its promise to fulfill treaty obligations. Chief Justice John Roberts saying the government's position, quote, seems to leave no role for this court in interpreting treaties as a matter of federal law.
The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to issue a ruling sometime before next June. Now, this case impacts not only Jose Medellin, but 50 other Mexican citizens currently on death row in the United States. Lou?
Lisa, thank you very much. Lisa Sylvester. Well, what happened to the other 4 convicted gang members in this rape and murder? Medellin's 14-year-old brother at the time, Benny, was sentenced to 40 years. 2 others received life sentences. 1 now awaits execution. The other gang member was executed last July. Many lawmakers vigorously oppose the World Court meddling in this vicious Texas rape and murder case and resent President Bush and his administration's intrusion. 2 lawmakers from the state of Texas join us tonight, Republican Congressman Michael McCall and Republican Congressman Ted Poe. And he knew the families of both the rape and murder victims. We thank you both for being here. Let me turn first to the idea, and this is your president in every way. He is a Republican. He is a Texan. You served with him in the state of Texas. You served with him in the federal government today. He is saying basically, and interfering in this case, is he not, that the sovereignty of the United States needs to be, in fact, diminished, that the federal government's role needs to be established as primary over that of the state. Tell us your thinking.
Well, Lou, it seems to me that under separation of powers, the president does not have any authority over any court to tell him what to do. And the highest court in Texas recently ruled in all respect to the president that he has no jurisdiction in this matter at all. And that's why this case is before the Supreme Court. And certainly the U.S. Constitution takes precedent over international law, and especially in this specific case, and the case should obviously be upheld by the Supreme Court.
Congressman McCall, your thoughts?
Well, you basically have the president who does not make the laws. The Congress makes the laws of the United States. And yet the idea of a foreign tribunal interfering and the argument that somehow they can preempt U.S. or state law in the United States is a direct attack on our sovereignty in this nation. And I believe that the High Court will prevail in our way of thinking in the end.
Let me ask you both of you attorneys, judges, prosecutors. As a former Texas Attorney General, Texas Supreme Court Justice, Senator John Cornyn today, he gave us this statement on this case, and I want to hear your reaction to it. This is what he said: the president's attempt to interfere with state law exceeds the Constitution's limits on his power, and if allowed would set a dangerous precedent. We are watching in your expressions as two Republican congressmen from the state of Texas, Senator Cornyn from the state of Texas. What is this president, in your judgment, giving him at the outside very best interpretation? What in the world could he be thinking?
Well, I think that he believes that the World Court was correct, and so he took it upon his own initiative to order the state of Texas to review this case, to retry him maybe. And of course, in my opinion, he doesn't have that authority. If the president has the authority to go into a state court and tell them what to do, that gives the president unlimited power, not just this president, but any president after him. So I think that's where the separation of powers issue comes in. This is a judicial decision. The defendant never asked for a consulate, and so I think that this will be resolved by the Supreme Court.
Let me ask you this, Congressman McCall, your best judgment. Is there in the Constitution, with the rights of treaty, which go to the Senate, and with a lesser role in point of fact for the Congress of the United States, and with the signature of the president, is there any interpretation within the Constitution that would permit any president, any Congress, any Senate, or for that matter, any court, to abridge the sovereignty of the United States through any treaty of any kind?
Now, I don't believe there is that justification. If you look at Article 6, it discusses the laws of the United States and treaties. However, when this treaty was ratified in the Senate, it was done so with the express condition that it would not usurp United States law or state law. In fact, if you look at the legislative history and intent, they were to come back to the Congress if there was any world court opinion that was to the contrary. So the Congress never gave up its authority to pass laws on this. And I think the president, with the separation of powers, is quite frankly out of line on this one.
And I would say to you, Congressman, that I think he's out of line on a great deal. But let me ask you importantly, in the state of Texas, what do the citizens of the state of Texas, how are they reacting? How are your constituents reacting in this?
Well, they see a Mexican national that's come into our state, violated our state laws, brutally raped and brutally killed two girls. And then they use this consular notification loophole, if you will, to get a foreign tribunal again to intervene and get them off death row. I think our constituents are outraged about this case.
Let me follow up on that,
yes,
Lou. I was a judge when this occurred. I've met the families of the victims. And even under Texas standards, which has a lot of notorious killings, this is one of the worst. This defendant, his guilt is overwhelming. He confessed. He bragged about killing these two girls. And he never once complained about this consular issue for 10 years. And now he wants to avoid the fate of the death penalty. And it's very, very unfortunate. People are very irritated about the position the president has taken in this case.
Right. If I could add, Lou, I oversaw the death row appeals in the state of Texas. Right. This argument has been raised numerous times and repeatedly rejected by the courts, and that's why I feel confident that the Supreme Court will reject this argument.
Well, we will certainly know that by most expectations from the knowledgeable on the High Court. This spring, a decision is expected by the Supreme Court. We thank you very much, gentlemen. Congressman Poe, Congressman McCall, we appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Up next, rising opposition to New York's governor, Eliot Spitzer. His proposal to just simply hand out driver's licenses to illegal aliens. He and George Bush right on track with one another. Jack Cafferty, he's mad as hell. He joins me next. We'll be talking about his new book, It's Getting Ugly Out There. Isn't that amazing? Use the word ugly with a pretty face like that. We'll be talking about it. We'll be flogging at books. And a lot more coming right up. Stay with us.
Lou Dobbs Tonight. Brought to you by NYSE Euronext. One market, infinite possibilities.
Leading businesses from more than 45 countries around the world know there's only one listings venue that has the power to connect the greatest companies from every industry across the globe. What are you in the market for? The New York Stock Exchange. One market, infinite possibilities.
Your smile says a lot about you. That you're happy, friendly, confident. But if you're uncomfortable with your teeth, your smile could be saying just the opposite. Fortunately, there's Invisalign, the clear way to get a smile that shows off the real you. Invisalign is a series of custom design aligners that straighten your teeth little by little. Each clear aligner can be removed to eat or brush your teeth. Switch them every other week and gradually a new smile will emerge, often in about a year, without the pain and anxiety of metal braces. Millions of people have already learned about Invisalign. Maybe it's time you did too. Visit Invisalign.com to arrange a free, no-obligation consultation with an experienced Invisalign provider and let the world see the real you. Invisalign. Learn how to smile again.
There's the week, there's the weekend, and then there's the weekender.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the subscription from the New York Times, I love it.
Like your whole weekend's just started. It's come a little early.
So the deal is you call the 1-800 number, and then you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $3.35, which is half off, which is pretty crazy.
So you get the Friday paper, and boom, you're right into the weekend.
Saturday. The word alone makes me happy. I love to sort of pull everything out of the Sunday paper.
Travel section.
Magazine.
Weekend review. The international news.
A book review. I got these really great boots after reading the Sunday style section.
All I did was call the 1-800 number. I'm not one of those call now people.
Call!
You should call now.
I love to have the New York Times delivered.
Who doesn't like to save money?
Call now because it's a great deal.
It's like having a table of contents for everything in the world. I mean, how much would you give for that?
The Weekender subscription from the New York Times. Get it now for as low as $3.35 a week. Call 1-800-727-7464.
Who doesn't like to start the weekend a day early?
Opposition to New York Governor Eliot Spitzer's proposal to give illegal aliens driver's licenses is escalating. New York's Congressman Peter King is among the most severe critics of the governor's proposal, and Congressman King joins us from Capitol Hill. Congressman, good to have you here.
Lou, good to be with you.
What in the world is Eliot Spitzer thinking about?
Lou, I have no idea. I don't think Governor Spitzer had any idea of the firestorm that he was creating by this, but this is being opposed across the board politically. I'd say the response from rank and file people, not Democrats, Republicans necessarily, just ordinary Americans, ordinary New Yorkers, is really almost unprecedented. This is, I think, one of the worst single decisions a governor has ever made. It's absolutely flies in the face of Homeland Security, flies in the face of common sense, flies in the face of border security. It's just wrong from any way you look at it.
I don't know if you've talked with the governor or his people or his staff recently, but the very idea, I mean, we have the county clerks, 13 of them at last count had said no matter what this governor does, it isn't going to happen. They're not getting driver's licenses. We have seen for example, State Senator Golden was on this broadcast last night, introducing legislation to block the effort, calls for the federal government to intervene against the governor. What is going to be, in your judgment, the outcome?
I think he's going to have to back down, even though he's a pretty stubborn guy. I know it's going to overwhelmingly pass the Senate, overriding his action. What the Democrats do in the Assembly, that's going to be the tough call. But, many prominent Democrats, like former Mayor Ed Koch, Suffolk County Executive Steve Levy, Even a Democratic state senator on Long Island has now come out strongly against us. You mentioned Marty Golden. He's a tough fighter. He will keep this going, and he will keep the pressure on. So really it depends upon the Democrats in the Assembly, but ultimately it depends upon the voters of New York. They have to let their state assemblymen know how they feel.
Well, let me get, Governor Spitzer isn't backing down, as you would guess, and he's, in fact, defending his plan. This is a comment he made last week in response to criticism of his outrageous proposal. I love this. This is what Spitzer said.
There's already been very significant pushback, as you've seen the nature of the rhetoric, the anti-immigrant emotions that have been fanned and preyed upon.
We've asked the governor almost daily to come join us on this broadcast. Anti-immigrant emotions. This is just sleazy nonsense. And this governor is too smart for it. He thinks he's being cute politically. How are you going to react to a governor who talks like that?
First of all, you're right. That is too cute. It's cheap. It's tawdry. It totally misses the point. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy, but he's trying to be a wise guy right now. Not a smart guy, but a wise guy. And it's going to blow up in his face. He cannot win this fight. One way or the other, he's going to lose it. It's a question whether he surrenders now or if somehow he allows himself to be back out of it later on. But he is going to lose this fight. He is against all the people on this one.
Presuming that there is any interest whatsoever in preserving the rights of citizens, whether New York State citizens or American citizens in this issue. Thank you very much, Congressman P. King. Good to have
you here. Great to be with you.
Up next, he's outspoken, he's opinionated, he's controversial, he's a friend of mine, he's Jack Cafferty. We'll be back, and we're going to find out why he put ugly and his own face on the same book cover.
Oh, now.
Because y'all thought I was finished.
Their renegades terrified the nation. Soledad O'Brien, what drove them to murder? The minds of the DC snipers. CNN Tonight, 8 Eastern.
It's a whole lot of fun.
Cars are fun. Shopping for them should be too. VHIX.com. Just click autos on Comcast.net.
In the old days, shopping for car insurance meant going to company after company, filling out form after form, and getting quotes one at a time. Today, you go to one place, Progressive.com. You get the Progressive Direct rate plus those other companies' rates in about 8 minutes. It's that simple. Start at Progressive.com and get all the information you need to make the best decision in about 8 minutes. Go to Progressive.com today.
Where do you want your next home to be? How about here? Near here? Or here? Just come to CBSeal.com. See every house in one place. The interactive home search finds everything close to where you want to live. All from the comfort of your home.
Hey, look at this one.
Oh yeah, that's more like it. Looking for a new home? Watch the Tour of Homes, brought to you daily by Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties on Comcast Cable Channel 15.
On GAC Great American Country, October is Opry Month. See new live shows, special encores, plus a marathon of some of your favorite Opry performances from country music's greatest stage. October is Opry Month on GAC Great American Country, where country music lives all the time.
First live interview since Anna Nicole's death. Larry King Tonight.
CNN's Jack Cafferty is opinionated, outspoken, some even say controversial. I don't buy that. He hosts the Cafferty File on the Situation Room, both before, after, and who knows, all around this broadcast. His first book, and New York Times best-selling first book, is called It's Getting Ugly Out There, The Frauds, Bunglers, Liars, and Losers Who Are Hurting America. Jack joins us here. Jack, first of all, congratulations on the book. It's a bestseller. That's outstanding. It's a terrific, it's a terrific book. Yeah. And I think we're going to give it away for some emails. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Talk to your publisher.
Absolutely.
We're going to flog this book. Now, why in the world is it getting so ugly out there in your best?
These are all people you know, of course, that you're intimately acquainted with on this program. These are the people who want to give driver's licenses to illegal aliens, who won't secure the borders, who are spending $720 million a day on the war in Iraq, who have just completed the largest embassy in the world in Baghdad at a cost of $750 million, $144 million cost overrun. The place is uninhabitable. It was supposed to open a month ago. They don't know when it's going to open. The fire codes haven't been met. The electrical codes haven't been met.
There's something about the idea of fire codes in a nation in which there are so many IEDs exploding that the war in Iraq is perhaps the most difficult issue to face this country, and certainly since Vietnam, and irrespective of whether you consider it a quagmire or not. But what's fascinating is you read the emails from the viewers on the Situation Room. The outrage and the anger is palpable.
Well, it is palpable. 70% of the population thinks the country's going in the wrong direction. The primary reason they feel that way is the war in Iraq. And one of the reasons that they don't support the war in Iraq is that they ran a game on us. They lied to us. Yeah. And they got us committed. Powell was right.
I have to say one thing, Jack.
What's
when
that?
They lied to us, the precious darlings.
Can you believe that?
The American people, we have been lied to, and we have been betrayed. We've had our butts kicked.
Yep.
And that's only by the people we've elected to office to represent us. The idea that this government, and you and I have been in journalism and television journalism for a very long time. We won't add up all the years.
No, it's a long time.
But it is truly a situation in which I have to ask you, I have never seen more dysfunctional government. No. I've never seen less qualified leaders, so-called, and frankly, less interest on the part of the people to change what is a dire situation that is worsening.
That's the most troubling part. The Congress has an 11% approval rating in one of the national polls. 11%.
Makes you want to meet those 11%.
Yeah, who are these people, right? It might be a little high, actually. But why aren't the people that watch this program and the Situation Room and just the citizens more actively involved in trying to change it? And my guess is that maybe they feel it's beyond their ability to change. The Democrats and the Republicans, you can't tell them apart except on the wedge issues of flag burning and gay marriage and the Shiloh case and stuff like that. But
on this broadcast and in my entreaties to everyone who watches this broadcast or reads anything I write, I beg people to register as independents. Get away from it.
Yes.
Because the fact of the matter is, Republicans and Democrats, it's the same game.
No,
they're opposite wings of the same bird, and people will get all involved. I love it, the wedge issues. We're going to get all excited about gun control, or we're going to get all excited about gay marriage or abortion.
Flag burning. Whatever.
Meanwhile, there's not a presidential candidate with a hoot of influence over any of those issues.
No, and those issues at the end of the day matter, I think, a lot less than the fact that we are approaching $10 trillion in debt in this country. The current administration has accumulated more debt than all of the previous presidents combined. Unfunded liabilities for things like Social Security and Medicare are equal to the entire net worth of the United States of America, tens of trillions of dollars. It's not being addressed. It's going to be left for your kids, my kids, our grandchildren. The standard of living in this country is going to start down for the first time maybe since our founding fathers put this thing together.
Yeah, and one of the most chilling comments that you make in the book, and if we could put this up, Jack wrote, "I have never been scared before, but I am scared now. Scared that we're losing our way, not because somebody is taking it away, but because we're giving it away."
Yeah.
You think the 2008 elections have changed that?
No.
Yeah, I'm
not one iota.
Are you pretty excited about any one of the candidates?
No.
Well, we got 18, about
There's a lot of them out there. I mean, there's one or two that have some interesting ideas, but they don't have the money, they don't get the press coverage, they don't have the political machines, they don't have the access to the big bucks, the corporate bucks.
You don't sound like a Hillary and Giuliani fan.
Not today.
Jack Cafferty, the book is It's Getting Ugly Out There. And as I said earlier, guys like Cafferty, I mean, we got to be careful when we put ugly on the cover with our own faces.
They ran the picture to underline the title, I know.
Terrific book.
Thank you.
All the best. Congratulations.
Thanks, Lou, very much.
Here. There'll be a lot more of Jack, of course, in the Situation Room coming up here in just a few moments, and he'll be assisted ably by, I think it's Wolf Blitzer? Wolf Blitzer. Up next, the results of our polls. Stay with us.
S80 from Volvo.
Lease a 2008 Volvo S80 for $439 a month for 24 months. $3,508 cash due at signing.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare Supplement plans.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you thousands of dollars. These are the only Medicare Supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit, plus this free guide to understanding Medicare.
I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call 1-800-673-4168 now. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting.
Fairwatcher Plus alerts you when fares drop to your favorite places. Start your wish list at Travelocity.com.
Can I speak anyone? Anyone?
Over 40,000 wishes fulfilled every day. Start your wish list at Travelocity.com. You'll never roam alone.
Closed captioning hours provided by Mama Lucia Meatballs, America's favorite.
Mama Lucia on a roll, Mama Lucia on a plate. Mama Lucia meatballs, have a taste that's really great.
Mama Lucia Meatballs, America's favorite. 91% of you say those no-match letters aren't, as the ACLU insists, part of a callous disregard for legal workers and citizens. Good for you. Thanks for being with us tonight. Situation Room now with Wolf Blitzer. Wolf.
Thanks very much, Lou. Happening now, a terrifying warning to undercover officers that prison gangs are out to get them tonight. The threat, it's just now being exposed, and the white supremacists said to be behind it. Plus, Jimmy Carter insists President Bush isn't telling it like it is. Carter says he knows the current administration has used torture. This hour, my in-depth interview with the 39th President of the United States. And a source of hope for troubled young